The Radiance of Pokémon wisdom. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51 Magikarp Contest. 3 symbols now. Boss, you are collecting very fast. At this rate, we will be able to collect all 7 symbols of the battle frontier in no time. Meow Meow said. Yes, boss is a powerful person. Kajiro praised while making a fire. What's wrong with you two? You are praising me like honey. What's wrong? Forget about the salary increase. Zahu said. Boss, you misunderstood us. Are we that kind of people? Meow Meow said, as if he had suffered a great injustice. Zahu said with a cold face. If you are being attentive for no reason, you are either a traitor or a thief. Boss, you said we have worked hard all the way here, right? We are about to reach the city. Do you want to stop by the Rainbow Stone and buy some perfume? Meow Meow said. Buy perfume? What kind of perfume do you want to buy for a Pokémon? Do you want to pick up girls? Zahu flicked Meow Meow's head in annoyance. Of course, I followed you, because you told me you wanted to make money and date Madonna. Now, of course, I have to buy some perfume and other things to give to the cat. Meow Meow said. Then I will spray the perfume you gave me and live with the cat boss forever. Zahu said mercilessly. The meow called Madonna is now estimated to be a stray Pokémon, following the cat boss. Impossible. Meow. Meow Meow's eyes widened, showing a fierce expression. Okay, impossible. I won't hurt your heart. There is a small town called Town ahead. Let's pass by there and take a rest. Then go to Rainbow City tomorrow and buy you perfume. Zahu said. Thank you, boss. Meow Meow said excitedly. Zahu showed a helpless expression, and seeing that Kajiro was also excited, he couldn't help but wonder, what's wrong with you? Meow Meow bought it to please his girlfriend. You don't want to find Lumigia again. Who said that? I'm looking for a men's perfume to enhance my beauty. Kajiro said. You don't even have a partner. You can only face me and Meow Meow all day long. Who are you spraying perfume for? Zahu said with disdain. Spraying perfume is to improve yourself. You have a narrow mind. Zaijiro said disdainfully. Zahu just said 3 words, ignored the others, and concentrated on making food for everyone. The 3 of them laughed and joked for a while, before walking back to the direction of Rainbow City. When they passed Town, they heard a loudspeaker. As soon as they came in, registration for the Magikarp contest will start at 7 o'clock tomorrow. The champion will be awarded with 1 year's worth of Pokémon food, a king's certificate, and a mysterious Pokémon egg. Magikarp contest? Zahu raised his eyebrows slightly. Is it to compete with Magikarp? Boss, it's a competition with Magikarp. Our Magikarp is definitely the best in the world. Go and participate. You can get a king's certificate, 1 year's worth of Pokémon food, and a mysterious Pokémon. Maybe you can even hatch a Snorlax. Meow Meow said excitedly. The Magikarp contest, well, let's go and have a look. Although the Pokémon food won't be particularly good, Snorlax will accept any food that comes his way. As for the king's certificate, who knows, he might be able to capture a dumb hippo in the future. Not to mention the Pokémon eggs. Zahu nodded. He definitely had to go for this kind of free reward. As for his Magikarp, as long as the competition is normal, whether it is a comparison of swimming speed, combat ability, or jumping ability, his Magikarp will beat everyone. If it is a comparison of combat ability, it would be the best. Zahu can even proudly say, I'm not targeting anyone. I just want to say that everyone here is trash. Let's go together. The 3 of them walked towards the registration venue together. The scene was really grand. There were people handing out advertisements for the competition process on both sides. Zahu picked up one and followed the queue. While looking at the process, he found that this Magikarp contest was really a bit particular. Sign up today, and then all Magikarp will have a physical examination first. The procedure is strict. The first hard requirement is terrible. Those who weigh less than 12 kilograms cannot participate in the competition. You should know that Magikarp, a Pokémon, usually weighs only 10 kilograms. and ordinary trainers will not specially train Magikarp, so there are definitely not many Magikarp that can weigh more than 10 kilograms. It's also because their rewards are attractive enough, otherwise Zahu estimated that there would definitely not be so many people coming. Okay, the next registered contestant, please summon your Magikarp first, and put it on the scale. The person in charge said to Zahu in a formal manner. Zahu looked down at the scale, raised his eyebrows slightly and said, "Can you change the scale? Otherwise, if my Magikarp breaks your scale, I won't compensate you." "Sir, you are joking. Our scale is quality guaranteed. Even if an adult stands on it, it will be fine," the person in charge said with a formal smile. "Are you sure?" Zahu silently released his Magikarp, which suddenly jumped onto the scale, and then with a snap, the entire scale was scrapped. The formal expression on the face of the person in charge immediately froze on his face. "What did I see? Is there such a big Magikarp? Is such a big Magikarp still a Magikarp? Are you sure it's not a swindler pretending to be one?" The person in charge took out a special flashlight from his pocket and shone it on the Magikarp. The Magikarp felt nothing unusual and blew bubbles there calmly. Zahu looked at the person in charge in surprise. The flashlight in his hand was not an ordinary flashlight, but the latest product developed by the Silov group. It can determine the status of Pokémon in the first place. It is no longer a matter of having money or not in the general sense, but it is a matter of having no connections, which cannot be bought even with money. But thinking about the fact that a group of people would actually hold a competition for Magikarp, most of them are bored and very rich, so they are relieved. "First, sir, your Magikarp is very good. We have decided to give you the treatment of the seeded players of the conference. This is a hotel coupon. Free accommodation for young people." The person in charge smiled and handed a coupon to Zahu. "Okay, thank you very much." Zahu took it with a smile, then took back the Magikarp and prepared to reunite with Kajiro and Meowth. "Sir, can you leave this Magikarp? We plan to gather all the Magikarp together to prevent the players from feeding the Magikarp with any medicine today," the person in charge said. "Sorry, no, my Magikarp can't leave me, and I'm not used to releasing Pokémon outside. It's not good if they bully other Pokémon." Zahu refused decisively. Although what the person in charge said made sense, there would be risks if Pokémon were handed over at will in other places, except the Pokémon Center. Zahu didn't want to take risks. "In that case, sir, please get up early tomorrow and accompany us for the examination. We can guarantee that you will be present throughout the process," the person in charge said. "That's no problem." Zahu said goodbye with a smile. The staff continued to check Magikarp's health and weight, as if nothing had happened. No contestant noticed that he had secretly talked on the phone. The blonde lady who was outside receiving the contestant's registration moved the earphones beside her ears and smiled inexplicably. Plan R officially began. Chapter 52 Project R. The exciting and shocking Magikarp competition is finally about to begin. This time we will use the swimming method to let the Magikarp of each contestant parade around the Zilin River in Zilin Town. In this river, we have made preparations in advance and set up various exciting links. There are also many tests of Magikarp's special skills. In some places, you must use Magikarp's water splash to jump up to show the stunning beauty of Magikarp. We have high altitude cameras to follow the whole process, and the contestants and their partners can take the spaceship provided by our organizer to watch the whole competition from high altitude. We must let the contestants witness their own Magikarp with their own eyes. The competition finally began. Several broadcasting robots were suspended in the sky and the host's voice was transmitted far away so that everyone in the town knew. Zahu and Mayomio Kajiro sat on the spaceship provided by the organizer, overlooking the entire Zilin town. They couldn't help but sigh in their hearts that there are still many rich people in this world. They can use such equipment for any competition. With this operation, even the previous alliance conferences are no better than this. "Boss, the competition is about to begin. Your Magikarp is the first," Kajiro said excitedly. "That's for sure. My Magikarp is, of course, the best in the world," Zahu said confidently. He looked down and saw his Magikarp leading the way. With a few flicks of its tail like a cattail leaf fan, it could stir up a large splash of water and beat the Magikarp behind it. In the final analysis, Zahu's Magikarp was too strong. It was originally a rare shining species that only appears once in 1,000 years. It got dragon skills from its parents, the Hakron, and then it was carefully cultivated by Zahu. No matter in which aspect, it was the strongest level among the Magikarp. It swam quickly and stirred up a large splash of water, forcing away a group of Magikarp behind it. The whole competition was almost a one-man show. If the river was not a little smaller, its performance would definitely be even better. The fish swam and soon encountered the first difficulty in the schedule, the Dragon Gate. A small waterfall is not high at all, and it is not the same level as the Dragon Gate that a real Magikarp needs to jump over to evolve into a Gyarados, but it is also a big challenge for these Magikarps. However, this is nothing to Zahu's Magikarp. With a simple water splash jump, it jumped into the air, several meters higher than the small waterfall, and easily jumped over it to enter the second round. A group of people who didn't know that Zahu's Magikarp was powerful were all shocked after watching it, especially the organizer. A middle-aged man with grey hair and a sour and sinister look looked at the amazing jumping power of the Magikarp, and then looked at the data recorded by the computer on the side in an instant, showing an amazed expression. God's creation, far beyond the physical strength and size of ordinary Magikarp, and with such a powerful jumping power, there is no doubt that this Magikarp is the most suitable experimental item for our plan. Tatsumi, get ready to do it. This Pokémon, our rocket team must have it. The middle-aged man said. Don't worry, Dr. Silanu. In order to study the secret of how to make Pokémon evolve quickly and form the strongest Pokémon army of our rocket team, these are all necessary. Chenji said. Okay, let's get ready. Let's also let Amado and Kosaguro attack the trainers in the spaceship. He should have some very good Pokémon in his hands. Dr. Silanu said. Understood. We have arranged the mechanism and are waiting for these Magikarp to swim to the end, and then we will take action. Chenji said. As a senior cadre of the rocket team and the executive captain of the R plan, he is an expert in these aspects. Okay, in this case, I will drive and prepare first and transport it to the department in Rainbow City. You and Amado will clean up the mess. Dr. Silanu said. Understood. Chenji nodded and sent Dr. Silanu away, then stood there, waiting for the final success. All the trainers in the sky didn't know what happened yet. They were still concerned about the final result and watched the Magikarp rush to the finish line. Zahu had been leaning against the window watching the race. Seeing the Magikarp he had nurtured finally rush to the finish line, although it was expected, he couldn't help but show an excited expression, just like an old father seeing his child get first place in the exam. Meow Meow and Kajero were also very excited. The two simple guys even started dancing, but at this time, something strange suddenly appeared at the finish line. A sudden whirlpool erupted, sucking in the giant Magikarp and the Magikarp with excellent mechanisms that barely kept up. Magikarp, what's going on? Zahu shouted anxiously. Since you ask sincerely normally, I won't answer. We'll tell you specifically. To prevent the destruction of the earth, to protect the peace of the earth, to implement the evil of love and honesty, a beautiful and naughty villain Amato Kosaguro. We are Team Rocket traveling through the universe. Amazing pink peach colored tomorrow is waiting for us. That's it. An abrupt and discordant voice came from the two receptionists. Yesterday, both of them tore off their usual disguises and spoke their catchphrases with a coquettish look. Amato, Kosaguro. Zahu's face was gloomy. The rocket team duo, whose appearance frequency and the animation is second only to the Musashi Meow Meow Kajero trio and the existence of Boss Sakaki. They also said the same coquettish opening remarks, but their strength is more than a level stronger than the Musashi trio, and they are highly valued by Sakaki. Even if they are locked up, they will pay to get them out, but he didn't expect that he would meet this guy on his way to travel. That's right, it's sus. We've accepted all your Magikarp as the test subjects of Plan R. You should be proud. Similarly, you should also hand over all the Pokémon you have, said Amado. Plan R. Zahu's face became even uglier. He was deeply impressed by this plan because it involved the strongest red Gyarados among the few shiny Pokémon in the animation. In short, in order to research the strongest Pokémon army, a group of people from Team Rocket invented a group of Pokémon evolution waves to force Pokémon to evolve faster. Then, except for a Magikarp that evolved into a red Gyarados, the rest of the Pokémon failed to survive the experiment. Then, the 4 Heavenly Kings were brought in, and then a big battle broke out. It also involved the senior cadres of Team Rocket. If it was just the Amado duo, it would not be a big deal. Zahu was sure to solve it easily, but if it involved Team Rocket's big plan, Zahu was not sure. The strongest underground organization in Kanto and Johto, the only terrorist organization among Pokémon that spans 2 major regions, and unlike the Aqua Fleet, Magma Team, and Galaxy Team, which have various ideals, the Rocket Team is purely a criminal, and its strength is terrifying. Stop talking nonsense, hurry up, hand over your Pokémon. Zyosaburo threw the Pokéball, and released his big wolfhound. Hand it over? Zahu's eyes were cold. If you touch his Pokémon, you will die. He threw out the nine-tailed fox and said, "Nine-tailed fox, don't hold back, freeze the 2 idiots to death." Feeling the anger of the master, the blue light burst out of the nine-tailed fox's mouth, and in an instant, all of Yamato and Zyosaburo, including the big wolfhound, were frozen into ice cubes. Call Miss Junsha to notify her to come here to arrest people. Meowth, Kajiro, follow me. Zahu walked to the side, kicked the door open, released Articuno and Togekiss, then rode on Articuno. Kajiro and Meowth rode on Togekiss, and then went straight to the finish line. Chapter 53, Tracking Team Rocket. Captain, someone is coming. Team Rocket was cleaning up Magikarp when they suddenly saw Zahu and others in the sky. There's also the legendary Pokémon Articuno. Another member of Team Rocket said. Articuno? If we catch it, Boss Sakaki will be very happy. You guys take the Pokémon away first, and I'll have some fun with this kid. Chenji said, throwing 2 Pokéballs from his waist, releasing 2 toucans, and attacking Zahu directly. Articuno Ray. Zahu said. A strong blue light burst out of Articuno's mouth, and attacked the 2 toucans. The 2 toucans dodged very flexibly in the sky. As the main pets of senior cadres, these 2 toucans are powerful main pets close to the king level. Toucans, use crazy attack. Chenji issued an attack command, and the 2 toucans attacked at the same time, with sharp beaks attacking at an extraordinary speed. Articuno carried Zahu on his back, but his body was still agile and flexibly dodged the attacks of the 2 10,000-year villains. Steel Wings, Zahu shouted. The wings of Articuno glowed quickly, bursting out at a speed far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. After being subdued by Zahu, it did not stand still, but grew rapidly. After all, as a divine beast, they concentrated on training, and their strength grew rapidly. They have already reached the level of adult Articuno. The rare similarity between Zahu and Zyossi is that they both insist that the best defense is offense, so Zahu's first rule of training Pokémon is speed, which is the only speed that cannot be broken. The 2 steel wings hit the 2 toucans accurately, and the 2 toucans let out a whine. Chenji's face changed. He did not expect Zahu's strength to be so high, and immediately ordered, use, destroy the death light. The 2 toucans opened their mouths at the same time, and the fluctuations of the destroying death light brewed in their mouths, and then burst out at a very fast speed in an instant. Zahu's face suddenly changed, and he hugged Articuno and said, dive quickly, ice dance. Articuno immediately understood, and burst out with amazing speed again. At the moment, when the destruction ray was about to arrive, it quickly flew downwards, spinning beautifully, with a faint glow all over its body, and then rushed straight towards Chenji. This is not a Pokémon duel, but to take back your own Pokémon. So if you can't deal with the Pokémon for the time being, then just deal with the trainer directly. Chenji's face changed drastically. Isn't this method of avoiding Pokémon battles and directly attacking trainers the patent of their evil organization Team Rocket? How come this decent trainer also uses it? While hesitating, Articuno's dive had arrived, flapping its wings, and injuring Chenji head on. Seeing that the trainer was injured, the 2 toucans turned around to rescue him, but as soon as they turned around, they were faced with Articuno's freezing ray. One move, all in seconds. Zahu punched Chenji's nose hard and said, tell me, where did you take my Magikarp? Chenji was punched by Zehu, and 2 blood dragons flew out of his nose, but he said arrogantly, "Don't even think about getting any news about Team Rocket from me. This world belongs to our Team Rocket." Chuna Biao, brain dead. Zehu couldn't help but scold, but seeing Chenji's inability to respond, he was only angry. He was not a professional interrogator, and didn't know how to ask questions. "Boss, don't worry. I have experience in how to make people tell the truth. Watch me," Meow Meow suddenly said. Then a machine appeared from nowhere to lock Chenji up, and then took off one of Chenji's shoes, and then a feather tickled Chenji's soles at an extraordinary speed. Zehu rolled his eyes at this scene. Although he had heard that tickling the soles of feet was a relatively cruel tickling punishment, in reality, it was too frivolous to rely on this to make a senior cadre of an evil organization betray the organization and reveal the organization's secrets. Zehu thought about it, and soon, Chenji couldn't bear the punishment and shouted, I'll tell you everything." Magikarp was transported to the base in Rainbow City by Dr. Silanu and his team, but I don't know where the base is. Zehu was stunned. Was he kidding? He surrendered just like that? Where was the villain's integrity? Just thinking about it, in the animation, the guardian of the Wild Wilderness Reserve insisted on protecting the secret of Mini Dragon, and refused to tell it, even if he was beaten to death. But it seemed that the result was also asked by Meow Meow in this way, and he felt it was natural. "Boss, we found out. Next, let's go to Rainbow City," Meow Meow said. "Rainbow City?" Zehu quickly reacted. The base of Team Rocket in Rainbow City was not in the animation, but in the game. He vaguely remembered that it was under the game city in Rainbow City. "Let's go. Throw this guy to Miss Junsha, and we'll go to the game city together. If they dare to touch my Pokémon, I won't be called Zehu unless I give them a big fight," Zehu said fiercely. He didn't want to provoke Team Rocket, because he didn't want to provoke the largest underground organization for no reason, but that didn't mean he didn't dare to provoke it. Meowth and Kajero nodded, not caring at all that they were going to provoke the largest underground organization in Kanto City. In the original animation, these two people didn't have the awareness of being weak chickens at all. Whether it was the 4 Heavenly Kings or the champions, they were confident that they could beat them. Now the underground organization is naturally more confident. In order to reach Rainbow City faster, Zehu made full use of his 2 flying Pokémon. He rode Articuno, and Kajero and Meowth rode Togekiss all the way to Rainbow City, and arrived as soon as possible. "Boss, are we going to do it now? Don't we need to contact the boss lady of Kona?" Meowth said. "No need to contact her. She is busy with too many things all day long. We don't know if she is nearby now. If she intervenes, we have to restrain ourselves. But we don't have to do it now. Articuno and Togekiss have flown all the way and need to rest. Let's send the Pokémon to the Pokémon Center first, then search for information. Do you have the confidence to hack into the network of the game city?" Zehu said. "No problem. Meow Meow is the best at hacking skills." Meow Meow's eyes sparkled. "Next, we should disguise ourselves to enter, right? Let me do it. When I was a child, I participated in a masquerade and won the first place." Kajiro said. "Yes, disguise yourself to enter. This time, you will sneak in. I will be responsible for the final force output. You are the key," Zehu said. "Don't worry, boss, there will be absolutely no problem." Kajiro and Meow Meow realized for the first time that they were so important, and immediately promised with a serious face. "Okay, then wait until night, and let the 3 of us leave an unforgettable memory for Team Rocket," Zehu said fiercely. Chapter 54 Infiltrating the Base. "Boss, I told you, it's very easy to sneak into this third-rate base." Standing at the Rocket Team base below the game city, Meowth proudly boasted to Zehu. "Be careful, sneaking in is nothing. The important thing is how to find Magikarp next, and not be discovered by the Rocket Team," Zehu said. He was not surprised at all that they could sneak in easily. Just look at the animation and you will know that no matter how mysterious the address is, or how strict the guards are, as long as Meowth and Kajero want to enter, there is no place that they can't enter. But being able to enter does not mean that it is safe. These guys often go in, but cause trouble and finally escape by digging a hole. It's okay, boss. My Macube skills are the best in the world, and no one will find us. Kajiro said proudly. Don't be too confident. Zahu still said cautiously, and walked secretly in the base with two people. Hey, who are you? At this moment, a man in front of him suddenly called out. Kajiro saluted and said, hi, sir. Sir? Which department are you from? Dr. Cyrano wants us to send the stuff over quickly. Research is about to begin. We will first use those with trainers, and then study the wild Pokémon. The man said. Drive Cyrano? Zahu raised his eyebrows and said quickly, we are Captain Tatsuma's men. Captain Tatsuma's men, then come quickly. Dr. Cyrano's research is about to reach a critical juncture. The man said. Zahu nodded and hurriedly followed Kajiro and Meowth. Along the way, they saw various Pokémon that were captured, such as Rattata, Smurf, Pichu, Nidoran. All of them were Pokémon that had not yet evolved to the final stage, and without exception, they were locked in cages, and their expressions were painful. Zahu frowned secretly. An underground organization like Team Rocket really should be destroyed. However, even though he was angry, Zahu still kept his reason. There was a reason why an underground organization like Team Rocket could exist for so long. The strong internal power and the relationship with the top leaders of the alliance were not something that Zahu could destroy with his current passion. However, if he met them, he had to confront them. Of course, before confronting them, he had to find his Magikarp first. Following this unknown member of Team Rocket, Zahu walked all the way to the secret room to get some professional Pokémon props. Zahu was also amazed and thought that, although Team Rocket was an underground organization, it was definitely at the forefront of the world in terms of technological level. Then, Zahu followed this unknown member of Team Rocket and finally saw Dr. Cyrano, the top person in charge of the R plan. At this moment, he was discussing with a bold middle-aged man. Drive Ninbo, with this new Magikarp, our plan will definitely succeed. By then, we will have a Pokémon army that is all final evolutions, and our Team Rocket will be invincible. Dr. Cyrano said. This is just a small part. The more important thing is to study this and strengthen the real Pokémon of our Rocket team. I heard that the Magikarp we caught this time can also have a dragon tail, right? If we can collect the right genes, maybe we can make that Pokémon stronger. Dr. Ninbo said. That's right. That Pokémon, the crystallization of the wisdom of our entire Rocket team and the strongest Pokémon in the world, is the core of our Rocket team's notification. Dr. Cyrano nodded. Doctor, we have sent you what you want. Passabier said. Is it finally here? Then it's time to conduct experimental research next. Dr. Cyrano said, and pressed a button on the console. A huge pool emerged in front of him, and countless water Pokémon appeared in it, including agate jellyfish, Squirtle, ink seahorse, Magikarp, horned goldfish, little sea lion. Zahu's huge Magikarp naturally appeared in it. At this moment, it was full of irritability and kept struggling. The light of its tail kept flashing, but no matter how it struggled, it could not break through the cage that imprisoned it. Zahu's eyes sharpened. He finally found his Magikarp. Since that was the case, he was not afraid. Anyway, there were only a group of researchers here. None of the top cadres of Team Rocket were here. Zahu had nothing to fear. He released Articuno, Togekiss, Snorlax, Sylph, and Ninetales all at once. Everyone, use your strongest power to attack all around, regardless of everything. Zahu gave the order decisively. The 5 Pokémon accepted it at the same time, and they were all brewing their strongest tricks. The 2 freezing rays of Articuno and Ninetales froze everything, and the 3 Pokémons of Snorlax, Sylph, and Togekiss were even more powerful. They destroyed the machine data around them in an instant. Dr. Cyrano and Dr. Ninbo, who were caught off guard, were all attacked fiercely. They were affected by the attack, and fell against the wall on the side. What's going on? Who are you? Dr. Cyrano asked. What a joke. You stole my Magikarp and now ask me who I am? Don't be funny. Zahu took off his disguise disdainfully and ordered the Pokémon to continue attacking. You're looking for death. How dare you destroy Team Rocket's base? I'll let you know what real power is. Let's attack this kid together. Dr. Cyrano said angrily. Upon hearing this, the members of Team Rocket around him immediately released their Pokémon. Gas Bomb, Arbok, Rattata, Beedrill, and Toucan were all Pokémon that had always been villains. Then, each of them used their strongest moves to attack Zahu's Pokémon. Fairy Elf, Fairy Wind, blow away all attacks. Snorlax used Tarzan Pressure. The knots on Fairy Elf's body changed, and a strange wind blew out, blowing away all attacks such as poison needles and poisonous gas. Then Snorlax, seemingly honest, called out, and pressed down, turning at least 10 Pokémon into meat patties. Among Zahu's Pokémon, it is difficult to say which one is the strongest. Ninetales has been trained for the longest time. Togekiss has a strong flying ability. Snorlax has the strongest defense, and finally Articuno is still a legendary beast. But if we say which one is the most suitable for bullying and causing destruction, it must be Snorlax. The huge size and amazing strength lead to unmatched destructive power. With a move of Tation's Pressure and Brute Force, more than half of the small Pokémon were almost cleared. Damn it, who are you, and how can you be so strong? Dr. Silanu asked angrily. This kind of attack ability is definitely at the level of a king. You don't need to know this. Anyway, you will spend your whole life in prison. I will have someone take special care of you, and will never let the Rockets redeem you with money. Zahu sneered and said to Togekiss in the sky, Togekiss, use the air slash to break the pool cage and release the Magikarp. Togekiss shouted happily, and his wings vibrated. An invisible air blade appeared out of thin air and slashed down, about to break the pool and release the Magikarp. As a result, a light blue ball of light appeared from nowhere in the sky and suddenly hit Togekiss. Togekiss wailed and fell beside Zahu, with an extremely painful expression on his face. Zahu was horrified. One move could make Togekiss lose most of his combat ability. This level, even the Dragonite of the Fairy couldn't do it. Where did the Rockets get such a strong Pokémon? Zahu looked at it suddenly, but he almost got scared out of his wits. I saw Dr. Nanba, who had just disappeared, with a strange Pokémon wearing armor beside him. Damn, shouldn't this guy be at the Tokiwa gym, or the headquarters of Team Rocket? How did he end up in Rainbow City? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55, Terrifying Telekinesis. Boy, I know who you are now. The youngest doctor in the league, right? I didn't expect that you are actually a powerful Pokémon trainer. But no matter what, you dare to come to our Rocket Team base alone. That is the beginning of your death, because no Pokémon can be a match for this Pokémon. He is the strongest Pokémon in the world. Dr. Nanbo looked at Zahu with a smug look on his face. Zahu's face was gloomy, and he cursed in his heart. Do you need to say it? Although you may be one of the creators, I'm more familiar with this Pokémon than you. Mewtwo, the first artificial mythical beast. It was created using the eyelashes of Mew, and a lot of incredible changes occurred during the process. The Pokémon that was finally formed is still the most popular among all the mythical beasts of Pokémon. It has both superpowers and mythical beasts. It can be called the strongest Pokémon in Kanto. No one else. Boss, what kind of Pokémon is that? Is it very strong? Why is there no information about him in the Pokémon Encyclopedia? Kajiro said in surprise. That's because the creator of his Pokémon Encyclopedia didn't even know the existence of this Pokémon. Zahu said with a wry smile. Is it very strong? Zyajiro said. I saw her trying to retreat. Zahu said. Boss, how about we retreat first? Meow Meow said fearfully. I wanted to, but do you think I can leave now if I want to? You and Meow Meow can hide in a corner first and then find a chance to leave, but I really need to fight a battle to know if there is a chance to leave. Besides, Magikarp, how can I leave without saving it? Zahu said. Boss, if you don't leave, I won't leave either. Meow Meow said. That's right, if you don't leave, I won't leave either. We all came together, so we have to leave together. Zyajiro also said firmly. Don't be stupid and play with loyalty. If you don't leave, who will notify people to save me? Zahu said. That's right. Then boss, you hold on first. Meow Meow and I will leave first. Zyajiro and Meow Meow nodded and ran away quickly. Want to leave? Can you leave? Mewtwo, attack with telekinesis. Dr. Nanbo ordered. Although he was not a great Pokémon trainer, he did not need any special skills to have a Pokémon like Mewtwo, whose flat attack was equivalent to other people's ultimate moves, especially when telekinesis was infinitely perverted. At Dr. Nanbo's order, Mewtwo's eyes lit up, and blue light emerged. An invisible but real terrifying force emerged, instantly freezing Kajero and Meowth's actions, making the two unable to move. Snorlax, destroy the death beam. A large amount of light gathered from Snorlax's mouth, and an extremely powerful beam of destruction burst out, heading straight for Mewtwo. Even the Dragonite of the crossing had to be careful to take this attack. However, facing Snorlax's devastating attack, Mewtwo simply stretched out a hand indifferently, and easily interrupted the destruction death beam in midair, and finally returned to the original path and attacked Snorlax, hitting Snorlax accurately, smashing Snorlax's body of more than 400 kilograms against the wall, and cracking the wall together. Even though he knew that Mewtwo was ridiculously strong and almost abnormal, Zahu still went crazy when he saw this scene. Damn, is telekinesis really that scary? The action of blocking Kajero and Meowth was almost equivalent to petrification. Then this move interrupted the power and forcibly hit back. Those who knew it was telekinesis, but those who didn't know, would think you used a Miracote. Articuno, use white mist to block these people's sight. Zahu shouted. Articuno immediately sprayed white mist from its mouth, and a large group of white mist emerged, about to block everyone's sight, but Mewtwo still raised his arms, and then used telekinesis, to disperse the white mist. Zahu stood there powerless and desperate. At this moment, he realized the despair of Xiaomeo facing Mewtwo in the animation. Damn, is this thing a monster? Kajero and Meowth were also shocked, but the more shocked they were, the more flexible their minds became. The attacks of Snorlax and Articuno were not completely useless. At least they dispersed the ability of superpowers. The two then ran outside without stopping. Hurry up, really hurry up. The boss can't hold on for much longer. If we can't find help, not only can we not save Magikarp, but we will all die. Kajero shouted while running. But that Pokémon is so strong. Even if we find the boss lady of Kona, we can't beat it. Meowth shouted while running. Even if we can't beat it, if we all work together, at least we can hold on for a longer time. Although that Pokémon is strong, it is definitely not invincible, otherwise Team Rocket would have dominated the world long ago, instead of being just an underground organization now. Kona is one of the 4 kings of the Alliance, and he must know more than us. Kajero said. You are right, but if this is just a special case, it is not necessarily the case. It's decided, let's split up. Meowth said. Separate? What do you want to do? Kajero said in surprise. Didn't you say that there is a lot of information here? Then we can go in directly and hack their computers. Can't we get more information? Meowth said. You're right, but since it's like this, why do we still need to separate? Just find a place with a computer, you hack into the database, and I ask for help. Isn't it better? Kajero said. Yes, what you said makes sense. Then let's do it quickly. If it's too late, we won't have a long-term meal ticket in the future. Meowth said. Yes, in the future, if we get into trouble, no one will come to help us clean up. We must be quick. Kajero said positively. Fortunately, because of the problem in the center of the base, the whole base was in chaos. The members of the rocket team rushed to Zahu, and there were no extra people to take charge of other places, so Kajero and Meowth easily found the place, and then the two of them relied on their incredible abilities to hack directly into it. After that, they quickly divided the work and cooperated. One hacked the data, and the other asked Kona for help. As for the protection provided by the rocket team, it was useless to these two people. In addition to not being able to catch Pikachu, there was nothing these two guys wouldn't do. On the other side, Zahu was happy to see that Kajero and Meowth had finally escaped. As long as the two of them got out, they would definitely not die. At least they could spread the news, and then it would be his own business. He stared directly at Mewtwo in front of him, his brain working quickly, searching for this guy's weakness. Chapter 56, Raging Gyarados. Snorlax, continue to use Destruction Beam. Fairy Elf, use Fairy Wind. Articuno, Blizzard Pockets, Steel Wing Zahu racked his brains to command the remaining 4 Pokémon to fight. Feeling the urgency of his master, the Pokémon around him also burst out with unprecedented strength, especially Articuno, which was wrapped in a layer of frost all over its body, and had already faintly used power that did not belong to it. The reason why the mythical beasts are called mythical beasts is not because of their simple racial value. If you count it this way, the 3 mythical birds are not as good as quasi-gods. In reality, the reason why the mythical beasts are called mythical beasts is that they have their own responsibilities and are favored by the rules of this world. Just like the fire sprayed by the molten bird at the quartz conference, it has obviously left the body, but it still has the consciousness of the molten bird. When it encounters danger, it directly transforms into a molten bird to attack. Instilling one's own will into one's own energy is something that other Pokémon find difficult to do. Even if they are stronger than these mythical beasts, they cannot do it. However, as long as the mythical beasts are willing to work hard, they can do it when they reach adulthood. Once it reaches this point, the attack of its original attribute will be even stronger. For example, the Articuno in the Orange Islands was stupid and was caught by a machine in an instant. It was not very powerful at ordinary times, but when it fought desperately with the other 2 stupid birds, it caused the wind and snow in the whole world to be turbulent and the climate to be disordered. Zahu's Articuno is naturally not as good as the Articuno known as the God of Ice, but at this moment it can mobilize the ice and snow weather within a dozen meters around it. Even a strong person like Mewtwo felt a little threatened when facing Articuno in this state, and used one hand to suppress it, and the other hand to beat the other 3. Articuno, Ninetales, Togekiss, Snorlax, let's work together. Zahu stared at the battle, and his will seemed to be connected with the 4 Pokémon, but even so, he could only barely survive. Mewtwo, who had always been invincible, felt that he had fought for so long, but had not defeated the 4 Pokémon on the opposite side. He rarely showed an angry emotion, and his superpowers condensed to the peak and exploded instantly. Even Zahu felt his body stiffen. Then a wave bomb condensed in his hand, first blew up Articuno, and then rolled balls, blowing up Ninetales, Togekiss, and Snorlax. In the end, the 4 Pokémon and Zahu were smashed against the wall together, and all lost their ability to fight. You are really strong to force Mewtwo to this point, especially this mythical beast Articuno, which is even more amazing. Although you destroyed this experimental base, it is worth it to get this Articuno. Dr. Nanbo showed a proud expression. Bang, bang, bang. Dr. Nanbo hadn't finished feeling proud when he heard a series of rapid collisions. He turned his head curiously and found that the Magikarp in the pool was colliding with the crystal barrier. He sneered and said, "Don't dream. This crystal is the latest technological crystal of our rocket team. Even a Super King level Pokémon will take some time to deal with it, not to mention you, the weakest Pokémon Magikarp, who hasn't even evolved yet." The giant Magikarp's eyes widened, revealing deep anger, especially when he saw the trainers and companions who fell down to save him. He was even more angry. Not only did he not stop attacking, but he kept hitting the crystal barrier like crazy. It's really annoying. Dr. Nanbo couldn't help but press a button. A strong current flowed in the crystal, violently shocking the Magikarp. The Magikarp immediately showed a painful expression. Waste is waste. Even if it is a mutant, it is still waste if it doesn't evolve. Wait until the evolution wave is completed and you become a Gyarados. You will be the best tool for our rocket team to conquer the world. Dr. Nanbo said. The Magikarp, who was suffering from the pain, heard what Dr. Nanbo said and raised his head with difficulty. His eyes showed a rare violent look. He resisted the strong electric current and hit the cage again and again. After an unknown period of time, a strange white light suddenly burst out from his body. Is it evolved? Damn it, who told you to evolve at this time? Dr. Nanbo frowned and cursed. The evolution of the electric wave requires an unevolved Pokémon, not an evolved Gyarados. Finally evolved. Zahu was also surprised. He had subdued the Magikarp for 4.5 years. Everything was the best in these years. According to common sense, it should have evolved long ago, but he didn't expect that it would evolve at this time. Roar! A strong white light flashed. and the huge Magikarp disappeared, leaving only a blue and white Gyarados that was 10 times larger than a normal Gyarados and extremely ferocious. Roar! A strong golden light burst out from Gyarados' mouth, and a bucket-thick destructive death beam violently sprayed out, directly piercing through the crystal cage and hitting Mewtwo. Mewtwo had never expected that there would be an attack from behind. Although it quickly reacted and used its superpowers to form a powerful barrier, it was still attacked by the ultimate move, and the steel behind it shook slightly. Gyarados' huge body suddenly rioted, directly cracking the place where it was imprisoned, staring at Dr. Nanbo with an angry face, and the huge water cannon in its mouth was ready. Damn it, salted fish turned into Gyarados. Did you think you could turn over? Mewtwo, give it a taste of power, Dr. Nanbo ordered. However, this time Mewtwo did not obey the order immediately like before, but showed a bit of hesitation. After Dr. Nanbo was knocked away by the water cannon and Gyarados attacked him, he continued to attack. Zahu witnessed all this with his own eyes, and his expression changed slightly. He seemed to have discovered a weakness of Mewtwo that was not a weakness. Mewtwo is a Pokémon created by Team Rocket, but Mewtwo himself does not want to be a tool in the hands of others, especially after he has human emotions. He found an opportunity to escape from Team Rocket. As long as the steel on Mewtwo is broken, Mewtwo can get rid of Team Rocket's control. Zahu's eyes suddenly brightened and said, Gyarados, stop attacking first, and Mewtwo, you should stop attacking for the time being, okay? We can help you find freedom and let you get rid of the control on you. You are Mewtwo, a free Pokémon. You want freedom, right? Although Magikarp evolved into Gyarados, it still remembered what Zahu said, and did not lose control, so it stopped attacking. However, Mewtwo did not pay attention to Zahu's goodwill and directly hit Gyarados with a wave missile, knocking Gyarados down. Not long after, Gyarados got up again, but there was an extremely ferocious expression in his eyes. Obviously, being locked up before and being beaten now completely stimulated his violent factor, and then he did not even listen to Zahu's words and fought Mewtwo head on. Then Mewtwo's usual telekinesis was suppressed on Gyarados because Gyarados was too big to be easily lifted, but even so, he still easily suppressed Gyarados and could even be said to be beating it, but because Gyarados was too big, it was not killed for a while. Zahu was helpless when he saw this scene. Mewtwo was naturally cold and had a strong aversion to humans. Gyarados' temper changed due to evolution. Once it was furious, even his trainer could not control it. Just when Zahu was extremely anxious and could not find any solution, a powerful voice suddenly came from the radio on the side. Boss, don't worry, we have notified the boss lady of Kona, and the support will be here soon. Chapter 57 Mewtwo leaves. Meow, you haven't left yet? Zahu asked curiously. No, Kajiro and I are now in the control center of this base. We have completely controlled this place and are using cameras to observe everything you do. Meow. Meow replied. You have controlled the center? Zahu first took a breath of cold air and felt that the best thing he had done in his life was to accept these two little brothers. Then he said happily, then can you control Mewtwo? Dr. Nanbo was obviously not a trainer of Mewtwo at all. He only used some kind of machine to control Mewtwo. Now that Meow and his friends have controlled the entire base, they should be able to control Mewtwo. Sorry, boss, this won't work. The system doesn't have this program. It seems that the direct control tool is in Nanbo's hands. Meow's embarrassed voice came. Then forget it. You can just use the central system to ask for help. You can leave now, lest Mewtwo explodes and hurts you. Zahu said helplessly. But, boss, we can control the steel armor on Mewtwo. According to the data, as long as we remove the armor, Mewtwo will lose control, and he should not oppose you anymore. Meow said. There is such a trick. Hurry up. Zahu said in surprise. It was really a ray of hope after a dark period. No, you can't do this. Otherwise, the whole rocket team will not let you go. The injured Dr. Silanu lay on the side, shouting loudly, trying to stop Zahu from doing something that was greatly disadvantageous to their rocket team. But, will anyone listen to him? Zahu rolled his eyes in disdain and said to Snorlax, give him a mountain crushing his head. Snorlax responded. Although he was very tired now, the trick of mountain crushing his head could be used as long as he lay down, so there was no pressure. Immediately, he turned Dr. Silanu into a piece of paper with his butt. Zahu looked disdainful. He always thought that those who said such things were idiots. They said that, if I did this, Team Rocket would not let me go. If I didn't do this, Team Rocket would let me go. Not to mention, if Mewtwo was not dealt with now, there would be no future. Mewtwo would be dead first with one big move. Meowth in the control room heard Zahu's order and pressed a button without hesitation. Then Mewtwo, who was in a fierce battle, immediately untied his armor and revealed Mewtwo's original appearance. Mewtwo was stunned at first and then showed an extremely happy expression. All the superpowers in his body gathered together and then burst out at once. It was mighty, like a volcanic eruption and a tsunami. Everything around was destroyed. Even the game city on the same ground was completely destroyed. Zahu collected all the Pokémon, except Snorlax, into the Pokéballs, and then hid behind Snorlax himself. He survived by chance. Then he looked up and saw the sun directly. He was shocked and thought to himself, is this the strongest combat power after the top beasts are fully fired? Looking at Mewtwo floating in the air in surprise, Mewtwo also felt Zahu's gaze and turned to look at him. Then a voice sounded directly in Zahu's heart, "Thank you for letting me be free." As soon as the voice fell, Mewtwo turned into a stream of light and flew into the sky, disappearing. Zahu scratched his head helplessly. Sure enough, he was not destined to be the protagonist. If he had the aura of the protagonist, after experiencing this situation, he would probably be able to directly subdue Mewtwo. However, in the end, everything was safe and sound. Not only did he get Magikarp back, but it also evolved into Gyarados. Zahu first touched Snorlax, who was used as a shield by him, and looked aggrieved, and promised to let him eat and drink for several days before coaxing him. Then he walked down and touched Gyarados, who was beaten by Mewtwo. Gyarados looked up and saw that it was Zahu coming. His huge head immediately followed, revealing sad tears, saying that he was beaten, and cried and asked his father to comfort him. "Don't cry, don't cry, it's okay, we will have a chance to fight back in the future." Zahu smiled and comforted. Although it is almost impossible for Gyarados to abuse Mewtwo with its strength, unless Mewtwo lets Gyarados get close to it, and then lets Gyarados use a series of bad habits to restrain the psychic type. But Mewtwo, who has supernatural powers, is very easy to prevent Gyarados from getting close to it, and if it doesn't work, there is still teleportation. But coaxing a child, coax him first. After much persuasion, under Zahu's comfort, Gyarados finally cheered up and entered the Pokémon Ball. Zahu moved his body a little, ready to pick up Meowth and Kachiro and leave here. But as soon as he raised his foot, he heard a familiar voice again. "Brother, are you down there?" Zahu looked up in surprise and saw the classic trio appear above his head, plus a person he didn't expect. "Lacey, why are you here? And how did you get together?" Zahu said. "I want to challenge the Rainbow Gym, so I came here. As for why we are together, it's because I met my brother Lacey in Golden City." Zyos, said. "Met in Golden City?" Zahu looked at Lacey with a strange face. "Did you really go to challenge?" Lacey's expression was sour, and he looked like he didn't want to talk. "Do you feel that life is good now?" Zahu looked at Lacey with a suppressed smile. Lacey's expression was even more sour. The memory of the challenge in Golden City was definitely a big stain in his life, and he really couldn't bear to look back. In short, all three Pokémon were completely abused by Nancy, and then turned into dolls, and ravaged by Nancy. Fortunately, Zyos came not long after, and Nancy began to smile and returned to normal. Then she let him go, otherwise he would really be ashamed to see people. "So, Lacey, sometimes you have to listen to your friends more," Zahu said with great gloating. "Zyos, let's go. Nothing will happen to your brother. Even if everyone in the world dies, your brother will be fine." Lacey stood up and said, "You are talking about something else. I'm done. You can't talk. Don't be like this. You just ignored me after a few words. This is not right," Zahu said seriously. He just escaped death. It was like a tight string that suddenly relaxed. He was so happy in his heart. He was so happy when he showed it. After a lot of effort, everyone went out together. However, because the whole game city was destroyed, Zahu was still under the custody of Miss Chunsha. Fortunately, Zahu, the youngest doctor in the Alliance, still had some bluffing value, so he was not locked up directly, but confined to the Pokémon Center. It was not until the afternoon that Kona came to rescue him as one of the 4 kings of the Alliance, and he was free. Chapter 58 The Power of Alliance. You said you wanted to die, but you also wanted to live. When we separated last time, you promised me to take care of yourself, and not to commit suicide. Now you're going straight to the rocket space and destroying it. Aren't you afraid of being targeted by the rockets? The rockets officers are not much worse than me. As soon as Zahu was pulled out and taken to a secluded place, Kona grabbed Zahu's ears and taught him a lesson without any image. It hurts. Kona, be steady and be in good shape. Zahu begged for mercy. What image do you want? When did I have an image in front of you? Kona didn't care about her dignity and nobility as the Ice Queen. If she didn't teach Zahu a lesson, she would be upset. Why didn't I notice that he was committing suicide before? How long has he been traveling? He's causing trouble all the time. Last time, he was almost hurt by the ancient Dragonite, and this time, he was even more ruthless. He went straight to the rocket space and blew up a base. That's Team Rocket. Although Kona is confident that she is not afraid of any of them, as one of the 4 kings of the Alliance, she is also very clear about how strong Team Rocket is to be able to hold on until now. That's not what I thought. They took my Magikarp away first. How can I not fight back? Besides, for an underground organization like this, we can just beat them to death. No matter how strong they are, they can't beat the Alliance. After all, I'm the youngest doctor in the Alliance. The Alliance needs me. Theoretically, it's okay. Zahu said. That's what I said, but it's not that easy to deal with them if they are really targeted. Colonel let go of the hand holding Zahu's ear and said earnestly, then we can just start fighting. With Articuno and the newly evolved Gyarados, even Team Rocket can't beat me. Besides, if I really can't beat them, I can ride Articuno to the downtown area of the town. As an underground organization, even if they have some shameful transactions with the Alliance, they can't do it openly. This is the limitation of underground organizations. Zahu said. Has your Gyarados evolved? Kona said in surprise. Yeah, it was also luck. He was caught by accident, and then Gyarados got angry. He exploded with anger. I always forgot that Magikarp needs anger the most to evolve into Gyarados. I usually spoil that kid too much. Zahu said. Even if you know, there is nothing you can do. You will never do anything to your own Pokémon. Kona said. That's right. Zahu nodded. That's right. The destruction of the entire game city in the end was caused by your newly arrived Gyarados. It has such strong strength just after evolution, and you can challenge it in the future. Kona said. How can my Gyarados be so strong? If it was, I could really ignore Team Rocket. The one who really did all this was Mewtwo of Team Rocket. Zahu said. Is it the Pokémon that beat your 4 Pokémon without any chance to fight back and made Kajero and Meowth ask me for help? What is his origin? He is so strong. Kona said. The strongest Pokémon in Kanto. Zahu said seriously. The strongest in Kanto? No exaggeration? Kona was surprised. She and Zahu had known each other for such a long time. She knew that, although Zahu knew a lot of information that she didn't know from some unknown source, the things that Zahu determined were most likely true. Except for the super ancient Pokémon that I don't have statistics for yet. Even if the rest are included in the legendary Pokémon, it is still the number 1. Here is his information. I asked Meowth to download it. Zahu handed the phone to Kona. Kona took the phone and browsed down. The more she looked, the more she frowned. How is it possible? It turned out to be a legendary Pokémon created by Team Rocket themselves. Does Team Rocket already have such terrible technology? Don't worry too much about this. Mewtwo was created to a large extent by chance and cannot be replicated. On the contrary, the next one is more troublesome. Look at the data of the evolution wave below. Zahu said. Evolutionary waves. Kona browsed through it freely again, and finally his face was full of an unimaginable expression. Team Rocket, they dare to develop such a thing. Do they really want to destroy the world? No, it is other regions that destroy the world, like the Galaxy Group and SYNOPSIS. They want to create a new world. Team Rocket is a rare pure evil organization They want to replace the alliance. Zahu said. In this case, you can relax about your safety. Kona said. Relax? Why, if I destroy so much, won't they attack more fiercely? Zahu asked curiously. Because, based on the data in your hand, if you give it to the alliance, Team Rocket's power in the Kanto region will be reduced to at least 1/10, or even directly destroyed. Kona said. So terrifying? Zahu said in surprise. Where there is light, there is darkness, so the existence of underground organizations is inevitable, especially since many people in the alliance have some shady things to do, and Team Rocket has to do them, but all of this has a premise. It can't be excessive. Team Rocket, who can create a mythical beast, has exceeded the bottom line of some people. During this period, Team Rocket can only be timid. If they show up again, Team Rocket in Johto will not have an easy time. Kona affirmed. So that's how it is, then I can relax. Zahu said. It's not enough to relax. Wait a minute, I will help you get the identity of a Pokémon investigator. With this identity, Team Rocket will not dare to attack you head on. Otherwise, if the investigator really takes action, Team Rocket, it's over. Kona said. Sorry, Kona, I'm sorry to bother you. Zahu said a little embarrassedly. He caused trouble, and Kona had to come all the way to help him. Why are you being polite to me? Kona rolled her eyes at Zahu and said, as long as you have a request, no matter what I'm doing, I will come to help you as soon as possible. Remember to protect yourself. If the Rocket team is really looking for death, then I will have to go to the Tokiwa gym to fight Sakaki alone. Sister Kona, don't worry, I won't get into trouble. Zahu promised solemnly. Okay, have a good trip. I'll wait for you to challenge the champion. Kona smiled gently, straightened Zahu's collar and said, I watched the game between you and Hills. The command was very good, and Snorlax's performance was also remarkable. After Zahu and Kona chatted for a while, they returned to their respective rooms and slept soundly. However, the report Kona sent to the Alliance made all the bigwigs of the Alliance unable to sleep, and they were in a meeting in the middle of the night. Kona's estimation was correct. The Alliance allowed the existence of underground organizations, but it would never allow such a powerful underground organization to exist. Being able to create a first level beast by themselves, even the League can't do it now. Kona didn't specifically point out that the creation of Mewtwo was accidental, so these big guys quickly thought of a possibility. If they don't strike the Rockets now, then the Rockets will mass produce first level beasts in the future. Who can suppress the Rockets in the future? As for the evolutionary waves that followed, they also shocked a group of people. It turned out that the Rockets had grown to this point without knowing it. Everyone couldn't sit still. Needless to say, the upright ones hated the Rockets, but they just couldn't find the Rockets' home. And the thoughtful ones, needless to say, originally we were all equal partners. Now that you are so strong, if we don't suppress you, what if you hold us against us and threatened us in the future? As a result, the entire Kanto Alliance's forces were mobilized. The 4 Heavenly Kings and the investigators were all mobilized, and even people were called in from the Johto region. Within 3 days, all the spies of the Kanto Alliance Rocket team were eliminated, and then the Rocket team's facilities such as the Game City were destroyed one after another, and even the Tokiwa gym was closed down. In a few days, the Rocket team went from being a local dragon to a street rat. Chapter 59, Sakaki's Anger, Part 4. Damn, who are these people? In the Rocket Team headquarters office, Sakaki angrily pushed all the folders in front of him to the ground. In less than 10 days, the Rocket Team's strength in Kanto has shrunk by an unknown amount. All the plans that were previously prepared or being implemented are now on hold, and the loss of funds is as high as billions, not to mention the disappearance of Mewtwo. Boss, according to the intelligence, the 3 culprits who caused the destruction of Rainbow Game City are the first one, Zahu, the youngest doctor in the Alliance, who has studied the fairy attributes. Sakaki's assistant Mantori answered carefully. The boss's temper has been very irritable in recent days. If you are not careful, you will be scolded. Zahu? Oak student, Kona's younger brother, and he also owns the legendary Pokémon Articuno, right? How did these idiots get involved with him? Sakaki frowned. The current 4 Heavenly Kings are the face of the Alliance. It is common sense not to touch people related to the 4 Heavenly Kings unless it is absolutely necessary. How could these idiots under his command touch the people of the 4 Heavenly Kings? As for Oki, let alone, others don't know how powerful this old doctor who seems to be just an authority in the academic world is, but doesn't he know it? Not to mention the former champion. Just talk about the family power. His son is a senior member of the Investigator, and the Investigator is a rare organization in the league that is based on the entire Pokémon League as a whole and is not bound by regions. Sakaki doesn't want to mess with it the most. Also, it is said that Kona now makes him a Pokémon trainee investigator. Minori said, damn, Kona really cares about him. If the investigator finds illegal forces and is retaliated, all the investigators will carry out a devastating blow to this force. It's really direct. Forget it, there are others. Let's go on. How did they defeat Mewtwo? With Mewtwo's strength, even if Do made a move, it would only be killed instantly. Sakaki said. Yes, the key is the second character, Kajiro, and Zahu's Pokémon, a talking Meowth. Minori said. Kajiro? Sasaki Kajiro, right? Sakaki looked dissatisfied. The Sasaki family used to have very close contacts with the Rockets, but because of the close contacts, the grandson of the Sasaki family attacked the most fiercely in the recent attack. Only the person who knows you best can stab you the deepest and most accurately. Yes, it's him. Manatori replied. Damn it, and I can't retaliate. Sakaki said helplessly. The only son of the Sasaki family with this identity, if the Rockets really deal with him to death, Sasaki will really risk his life. Although Sasaki is attacking now, it is still within the controllable range. Everyone belongs to the kind that can be enemies because of interests, but can also be friends again because of interests. But if Kajiro is killed, it will be a fight to the death. What did they do again? I remember that he was a useless kid who ran away from marriage and ran away from home. Sakaki rubbed his eyebrows and said, but they, with just 1 man and 1 cat, cracked our protection system, hacked our central computer easily, and then gained control of Mewtwo's armor, removed Mewtwo's armor, and Mewtwo escaped. Mana said. Wait, the battle didn't seem to last more than 10 minutes, so you're saying that they, with just 1 man and 1 cat, cracked the protection network carefully set up by our rocket team in less than 10 minutes? Are all the scientific researchers in our rocket team pigs? Who designed this protection network? Call him here. Sakaki said. The one who applied for the exam was Dr. Nanba, and he has been arrested now. Mana said. He deserves it. It's better for him to be locked up in there for life. Sakaki cursed angrily, slamming the table hard and saying, why don't such talents appear in our rocket team? Sakaki was furious at the rocket team headquarters, but Zahu didn't know about these things, and Kajiro and Meowth, who were called talents by Sakaki, were happy at this time, because Zahu promised to give them a salary increase. Boss, we're in Crimson City now, and it's very close to the battle pipe. Do you want to challenge the Crimson City Gym badge? Kajiro said. No, Aju was recruited to destroy Team Rocket, and now the Crimson Gym should be managed by his sister. However, his sister's strength is about the same as Zyos's. If I go there, I'll just be bullying. Zahu said. But boss, you plan to use Gyarados next time you participate in the battle pipe, right? Kajiro said. Yes, Gyarados used to be Magikarp and couldn't fight. Now it has finally evolved into Gyarados, so I want to have a good fight. Gyarados is strong enough now. Except for Articuno, most of the others are not his opponents. If he wants to go, of course I will go for him. Zahu said. But that's why I want to say that, can there be a Pokémon that can defeat Gyarados in the battle pipe? After all, isn't it still bullying, just in a different form? Kajiro said. What you said seems to make sense. Zahu showed a thoughtful expression, and finally shook his head and said, forget it, it's better not to go. Aju's sister is a ninjutsu fanatic. She made the gym like a place for ninja training. It's too dangerous to go there. Forget it. Collect the symbols of the 6 battle facilities as soon as possible, and then go to challenge the God Era. Well, anyway, boss, you are taking the Pokémon certification test, so you are destined not to be able to collect 8 gym badges. 1 more or 1 less doesn't make a difference. Kajiro said. That's right. If you can't get 8, you can't summon the dragon. One more or one less doesn't matter. In addition, Kajiro, your home seems to be not far from the Red City. If you really don't go home, even if you don't see your parents, you can see your obsessive Caterpie. Zahu said. Cat? Kajiro scratched his head, showing a tangled expression. On the one hand, he was always afraid of his parents, and on the other hand, he really wanted to see his little cutie. Forget it, don't worry about it. When the time comes, the three of us will sneak into your house, like we did before, when we sneaked into the Rocket Team base. You can decide whether you want to take Caterpie away or just take a look. Zahu said. That's right, I can see Caterpie without my parents. Boss, you are really great. Kajiro said excitedly. Zahu rolled his eyes helplessly. He never knew how Kajiro's parents educated him to make him so entangled now. He is obviously a super rich second generation who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but in the team, he is not only not domineering, but also a little submissive. He was exploited by Musashi in the anime, and now he is exploited by him, and even bullied by Meowth occasionally. If it were an ordinary rich second generation, no matter how good his temper and upbringing were, he would be proud in his bones. But Kajiro. Zahu took a deep breath and thought, forget it, this is Kajiro. If he was arrogant, he would not be Kajiro, let alone his younger brother. One should not be too greedy. Chapter 60, Battle Against the Water Pipe. We've finally arrived at the battle pipe, the fourth battle facility. Boss, you have to work hard and get the badges as soon as possible. He just got the gym badge of the Crimson Gym, which means he has 6 badges now. We only have 3, which is only half of what they have. Meow Meow said, while typing on the computer. Is it because the Kanto gym is too easy to get? Just keep watching. I guarantee that, before we get the symbol of the 7th battle frontier, Ozzy won't be able to collect 8 gym badges. Zahu said dissatisfiedly. By the way, boss, what's the name of the battle leader of this battle pipe? Is he powerful? Kajiro asked curiously. If I remember correctly, it should be Zyanagy, who is good at using Fenshi and Milotic. As for strength, it's not bad. It's very good. Number 1, you know? Zahu just finished speaking, and the women on the opposite side put their hands on their hips and glared at Zahu with dissatisfaction. You are the challenger, Zahu from Pallet Town. We are here to pick you up on behalf of Big Sister, to fight against water pipes. But as soon as we arrived, we heard your comments about our Big Sister, which were only good. Do you know that you really embarrassed our Big Sister? We must settle this account with you. The leader stared at Zahu fiercely. I'm the challenger, to challenge against water pipes, and compete with your Big Sister. If your Big Sister is really the first, then she can teach me a lesson, so let's go now. Zahu said. He didn't expect that his casual words would be heard by Zyanage's fanatical fans. He didn't explain much at the moment, and simply said that it was about the challenge. There is no way to explain to brainless fans. Anyway, everyone is not familiar with each other. After the game, everyone will be strangers. Just wait and see how my Big Sister will teach you. Our little G Big Sister is invincible. The woman in the lead still said with a proud face. Zahu nodded indifferently and took me to the competition venue. The rest is up to you. Zaoji. Kajiro wondered secretly and wanted to say that if she was really invincible, she would not just be the queen of the battle pipes, but the pioneer of the last battle facility. However, before he could say it, as soon as he said the words IOG, the receptionist said angrily, when you call us the Big Sister, you have to add the word sister. Yes, Kajiro said timidly, like a radioactive radiation. Sisters IOG. Zahu looked ashamed to see people. Why would he bring such a timid little brother? That's it. You are very good. You all have to call me that too. The receptionist was very satisfied with Kajiro's performance and commanded arrogantly. Zahu's face sank, and he couldn't help shouting, if you say another word of nonsense, I will let Snorlax crush you into a sticker. What did you say? The person on the other side said angrily. Your boss is your boss, not mine. Who gave you the power to order guests around? You look like a little girl, young, but you don't read books. You brag about your ability. Do you know that you are embarrassing your boss? If I had a little girl like you, I would definitely kick her out to avoid embarrassment. Zahu couldn't help but yell. The receptionist was annoyed and wanted to take action. Suddenly, a hairpin flew over and hit Zahu and the little girl. Zahu looked at the hairpin that looked like the tail of a rice spoon snake and knew what was going on. He turned around and saw a tall woman with long hair coming over, followed by Yashida. Ziosi, you are so rude. The tall woman was the pioneer of the battle water pipe, the water pipe queen Zyagi, and said to Zahu, dear guests, it's really rude. I apologize on their behalf. That's not necessary. We are also wrong. Zyagi took the initiative to apologize. There was nothing wrong. Zahu naturally wouldn't deliberately hold on to her and said that there was nothing wrong. Then let's start the game. Zyagi said. Okay. Zhihui nodded and followed Zyagi into the battle water pipe. Zhihui looked at the battlefield that had been prepared early in the morning. As expected, it was a battlefield mixed with water and land, suitable for Zyagi, Snake and Milotic to fight. Now we will have match between Zhihui from Pallet Town and Zyagi, the queen of the water pipe. 2 Pokémon can be used. The one who wins 2 games first will be the winner. In the battle water pipe, Zyogi's little sister took the initiative to serve as the referee and reluctantly explained the rules for Zhihui. My first Pokémon, Snake. As the pioneer leader, Zyogi was the first to release her Pokémon. Come out, Gyarados. Zhihui released the Gyarados that he had prepared early in the morning without thinking. Gyarados automatically appeared in the river in the battlefield and let out a fierce roar. The intimidation that came naturally scared Snake on the opposite side. The originally ferocious face now became a little pitiful. In fact, even the trainer Zyogi and the well-informed Yashida were shocked by the huge size of Gyarados. Zahu, when did you get such a big Gyarados? Yashida asked Kajiro and Meowth. The boss has always kept a huge Magikarp, which is very powerful, but it has never evolved, because it lives too comfortably. Recently, it got angry, so it evolved. Kajiro gave a simple introduction. So that's how it is. A Gyarados of this size will be inconvenient to move and lose speed, but Gyarados itself is not particularly fast. It basically plays a role of a super turret like Blastoise, so it is almost equivalent to no loss. But Zyogi is not an opponent who can be defeated so easily, Yashida said. As a challenger, it seems that I made the first move. In this case, I won't be polite. Gyarados, pray for rain. Zahu said. Gyarados, who successfully evolved and appeared in a formal competition for the first time, seemed very excited. He roared loudly, shaking the sky. A group of dark clouds gathered automatically in the sky, and a large amount of rain fell. Rain? Zyogi showed a puzzled expression, not understanding why Zhihui gave this order, but she quickly gave the order to attack. Fanchi Snake, use Poisonous Tail. After hearing the order from his master, Fanchi Snake suppressed the fear in his heart, and his tail flashed with a strange purple light. He rushed towards Gyarados quickly. Gyarados was so big that it was not easy to dodge, and he was hit hard. Zhihui looked at it confidently, but did not issue a second order. Instead, he looked at the extent of Gyarados' injuries. Gyarados was the only Pokémon in his hand that he was not very clear about. It was a rare and excellent mutation, inheriting the dragon bloodline of Haxorus. Now that it has evolved into Gyarados, Zhihui found that it has a lot of dragon skills, some of which are not normal Gyarados, but Haxorus has. In addition, it uses Rain Prayer, which is much more powerful than normal Rain Prayer. It is similar to Haxorus' talent for controlling the weather. Now in the battle, Zhihui also did a data survey to test Gyarados' defense. Chapter 61. Really cruel. Your giant Gyarados' defense is really terrifying, but why haven't you attacked yet? Do you think I'm not worth your effort? Zyogi ordered Snake to attack several times, but Gyarados took 7 or 8 hits without any problem and didn't attack. Even though she was well-mannered, she couldn't help but get angry. Sorry, Miss Zyogi, I didn't mean that. I just wanted to let Gyarados accumulate his anger, so that his power would really explode. Next, it's time to end this move. Zahu smiled. Using the opponent's Pokémon to test the defense of his own Pokémon is not uncommon in Pokémon duels, but it is basically when the strength gap between the two sides is very large. If his intention is seen, Zyogi, as the pioneer leader, will feel very humiliated. Thinking of this, Zahu said more seriously, Storm. Gyarados, who had been fed up with the attacks early in the morning, heard Zahu finally give the order, and his two huge eyes showed a furious mood. A strong wind suddenly broke out in the whole venue, and with the heavy rain, an extremely huge water tornado was formed, blowing away the glutton. The glutton struggled hard in the water to survive, but even if he tried his best, he couldn't struggle out of the water tornado. Zyadagy anxiously issued one command after another, but until the glutton fell, the glutton did not complete any of her commands. Miss Zyadagy, use your next Pokémon. Zahu said calmly. Gyarados is huge, and has difficulty in moving, so use some special moves with a very high hit rate to make up for it. Just like the last battle facility, Regirock of the God era is basically inconvenient to move, so first lock it, and then the next move will hit. In the game, in the rainy day, the storm will hit. Although there is no absolute sure hit in reality, it is basically 99% sure to hit. If you want to avoid it, you can only dig a hole. Speaking of which, Zahu learned this move from Zyarksha. In Alala, Zyarksha fought against Zyozzy again, and let Gyarados suppress Zyozzy and Pikachu with a combination of rain and storm. If Pikachu hadn't finally stopped acting in the later stage, burst out, and used a Z move, it would be hard to tell who would win the game. Zahu also thought this combination of moves was very good, so he used it directly. After all, Gyarados' body is too big, and without this kind of restraining move, Gyarados can't hit the opponent directly. Come back, Snake. Looking at Snake that was killed in one move, Zyadagy's expression was a little helpless. She wanted to bully Zahu's Gyarados, because of its huge body and inconvenience in movement, and then use Snake's superb speed to attack continuously, but Zahu's Gyarados first had amazing defense, and then the storm was sure to hit. Come out, Milotic. Although Zyog felt that she had little chance of winning this game, as a pioneer leader, her pride would not allow her to surrender without a fight, so she released her second Pokémon. The stunningly beautiful Milotic gracefully jumped into the water, showing its slender white body. Even with the dark clouds and no sunshine, it still could not cover its charm. ZHIHUI secretly sighed at this, saying that Milotic was indeed recognized as the most beautiful Pokémon. Looking at the two Pokémon on the field, ZHIHUI was quite interested. Gyarados and Milotic should be the two Pokémon with the most similar fates. Evolution is an extremely important thing for Pokémon. After many Pokémon evolve, not only will their strength change greatly, but their personalities will also change drastically. It can even be said that they have completely become another Pokémon. For example, after ZhiZhi's old spray evolved, it was almost two Pokémons with the previous Charmander. Even if it listened to ZhiZhi in the end, it was no longer the little cutie it was before, but became an old sundeer. Therefore, many trainers simply do not evolve their Pokémon in order to keep their Pokémon's personality unchanged. After all, in the real world, people can become very strong without evolving. There are many of them, such as Zyozzy, and there is also the godlike Bellbud of Quartz. But these two Pokémon are really weak if they do not evolve. One is the ugliest Pokémon, and the other is the weakest Pokémon. Moreover, after evolving, their strength increases, and they are also the most ferocious among all Pokémon. The ugliest Pokémon becomes the most beautiful Pokémon, and the weakest Pokémon becomes the most ferocious Pokémon. What's more coincidental is that the race value of the two Pokémon is 540. The only pity is that this is just a mutation, which is a bit bullying. Mean Sheo, use Tornado. Zyadagy ordered. A strong whirlwind burst out of the mouth of Milotic, sweeping across the whole body of Gyarados. Gyarados rarely showed a painful expression on his face, and Zahu's expression was bright. Tornado is a dragon skill, which has no restraint on flying and water Pokémon, but it has restraint on dragon Pokémon. Don't tell me that my Gyarados has really become a dragon type Pokémon. Zahu had some guesses in his mind, and decided that, after challenging the battle frontier, he would return to the research institute to study Gyarados' attributes. His intuition told him that this Gyarados might really be a freak of water and dragon. Zahu had some guesses in his mind, but now was not the time to study this. He was in the game. He had already made Zyadagy unhappy. If he made Zyadagy angry again, it would be bad. In this world, whether it is the gym trainers or the frontier leaders, the relationship with the challengers who came to the door is generally good. There is no need for him to force hatred. Thinking of this, Zahu decisively ordered, Gyarados, force a breakthrough, then tie it up tightly and ravage it. Finally, hearing Zahu's attack order, Gyarados was liberated. Its huge body stood up directly, and it simply and roughly broke through the tornado restraints of Milotic with brute force. Mean Sheo, use water cannon. Seeing the huge figure of Gyarados covering the sky and the sun coming, Zyuoji was inexplicably frightened, but out of the ethics of an excellent trainer, she still made the last effort, and issued the final attack order. Mean Sheo's originally powerful water cannon hit Gyarados, but it seemed to have no effect. Gyarados directly pressed down, and then its huge body tied up Mean Sheo tightly. Mean Sheo struggled violently, but its strength was insignificant compared to Gyarados. In less than a minute, Mean Sheo turned into circles, and lost its ability to fight. I give up. Zyuoji took back Mean Sheo, and showed a helpless expression. Your Gyarados is really too strong. I also won unfairly, purely relying on the basic strength of Pokémon. Zahu said. To be able to cultivate Pokémon to this level, is the ability of the trainer himself. This is a symbol of luck. Zyuoji handed the winner's certificate to Zahu. If I have time in the future, I might come over and have a relatively fair match with you. I hope you won't refuse me then. Zahu said. Using Gyarados is almost a push. Although it feels good to not use your brain, the value of the trainer is almost not reflected in this way. And it doesn't have the function of training other Pokémon. It's just that Snake is a poison attribute Pokémon, which restrains the weakest fairy attribute Fairy Elf in Zahu's hand, and there is nothing to train for the rest of the Pokémon in a short time. If you come over at that time, I will definitely accept it. Zyuoji said. Her strength is definitely not weak. Like Zahu, she believes in the principle that attack is the best defense. She didn't learn any defensive moves, all of them are offensive moves. But in this game, her strength was not fully utilized, and she was pushed flat, and she felt aggrieved. Then it's settled. Zahu smiled and agreed. The next battle facility is the Battle Palace, the metal island near the Twin Islands. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62, Encountering Eevee on the Road, Part 7. After successfully challenging the battle water pipe, they won the symbol of luck. Zahu and his team continued to travel forward. On this day, everyone was resting in a forest. Zahu combed the body of Gyarados while conducting a detailed investigation. He can now be sure that his Gyarados has both water and dragon attributes, but no flying attribute. Zahu, who has been a doctor for several years, couldn't help but burst out with a strong desire for research. Although Zahu knew that the birth of this Gyarados was probably just an unrepeatable coincidence like Mewtwo, even if it could not be replicated, just as an academic research, this kind of knowledge had an extremely strong attraction to Zahu. Boss, you should take a break first. Let's study what to do next. Should we go directly to the next port to take a boat to the Battle Palace, or should we go to complete the Pokémon certification exam first to obtain the qualification to participate in the Quartz Conference? Kajiro asked. There's nothing wrong with either route. I can accept both. Which one do you prefer? If I go to take the Pokémon certification exam, will I come to your house and see your Growlithe? If so, then take the road route. Zahu said without turning his head. Boss, thank you for your understanding. In that case, let's take the land route. We can also pass by the foster house and just take back the Skullflower I left there. Kajiro said excitedly. Skullflower? When did you capture it? Why didn't you just put it in our research institute after you captured it? Return it to the foster house. Isn't it a waste of money? Zahu said. I captured it at the academy, but I never went to get it because I was always busy. Kajiro replied. At the academy? That's at least 4 years since we last saw each other. Aren't you afraid that your Pokémon will not want you anymore? Zahu complained. No, my Pokémon will not abandon me, Kajiro said confidently. Zahu looked up at Kajiro and wanted to ask, where do you get your confidence from? You left your Pokémon for 4 or 5 years and still want people to like you. Don't even think about the Gyarados that evolved after you kicked him in the animation. But then he thought about the sharp tooth that Kajiro had left in the Pokeball for who knows how many years in the Sinnoh region and got excited when he saw Kajiro. He suddenly felt that this guy's mysterious confidence seemed to be well founded. Although this guy doesn't have many Pokémon at all and doesn't have many grass type Pokémon, he has the nickname of Grass type Master. It's really that his grass type Pokémon are very kind to him. Hey, wait a minute, isn't the evolved form of Smurflower the venomous flower? Zahu's eyes suddenly lit up and he looked at Kajiro's head that had not yet been ravaged and said, Kajiro, wait a minute, I'll give you an advance on my salary and you can go buy a helmet and wear it. Helmet? Why should I buy this thing? Kajiro was confused. Zahu smiled inexplicably. He couldn't help laughing when he thought of the big Venusaur in the animation that would bite Kajiro's head every time it appeared. Anyway, he didn't know why, but Kajiro's grass type Pokémon always liked to confront him. By the way, boss, we have collected all 4 symbols. Who will fight the palace next? Is he very powerful? Meow Meow asked. Old man Yukang, a very powerful person. Zahu said. Very powerful, how does she compare to that Zyoggy last time? I feel that among so many pioneer leaders, she is the weakest. A group of little girls still call me an adult. They deserve a beating. Meow Meow said. It's been so long, and you still hold a grudge. And Zyoggy is not weak either. It's just that Gyarados is too strong, and all her tactics are ineffective. In fact, this is the most desperate thing in a Pokémon duel. Others' basic attacks are equivalent to your ultimate moves, Zahu said. Then don't you just need to train the Pokémon's strength and don't need any tactics? Meow Meow said. In the face of absolute power, all tactics are empty. Just like that Mewtwo, with one telekinesis, I can use all kinds of tactics at the same time. What's the use? Theoretically, this is the most practical thing for a trainer. That's why I emphasize that the most important thing between a trainer and Pokémon is the bond, because the bond can make Pokémon fight for the trainer, strive to burst out the strongest strength, and sweep away all tactics. But this kind of absolute power basically only appears in the strongest first level beasts. For normal trainers, pursuing absolute power is a stupid thing. Just like even if I use Gyarados to fight against Sister Kanap, if I dare not use tactics, I don't know how I will die one day, Zahu said. Is that so? Has no one done something similar? Meow asked. Yes, against the strongest pioneer leader in the frontier, against the Kamiyo of the pyramid, although his tactics are very strong, he actually also follows the violent style, and he is the best among them. Zahu said. In the animation, Shinji of Sinnoh took the initiative to challenge Kamiyo because of the reason why Reiji was defeated by Kamiyo and adopted a 6-6 decisive battle. Then, during the process, Shinji's Electabuzz used Halt, a trick that theoretically could resist any attack, but it was actually penetrated by Kamiyo's Regirock Stone Blade, and it became unable to hold. In that 6-6 match, Kamiyo really beat Shinji in all aspects. It was also thanks to Zyos's Pikachu that he burst out with all his strength when challenging Regius and defeated him in seconds. Otherwise it would be a dream to dominate the battle frontier. Is it so strong? Kajiro said in disbelief. Do you think the strongest leader in the battle frontier is fake? If it's one-on-one with him, I still have a 70% chance of winning a game, but if it's 3-on-3, I only have a 60% or even 50% chance of dominating the battle frontier. In the final analysis, I have too few types of Pokémon. Fortunately, if Gyarados successfully evolves, I have a water type main pet, otherwise, I don't even have a 50% chance, Zahu said. In that case, boss, you just need to work hard to find an EV. As long as you have an EV, you can freely choose Pokémon of various attributes, and you can also find a companion for the fairy elves. Meow Meow said. I would like to, but do you think EV is like a stray dog on the roadside? You can see it whenever you want? Zahu said with a smile. Boss, is there an EV tied under the tree over there? Kajiro suddenly said. Zahu's expression froze, and he looked at the tree on the side. Sure enough, There was a cute little Eevee tied under the tree. Zahu twisted his neck awkwardly and looked at Meow Meow and said, "Meow Meow, from now on, if you tell me every day that I have captured a mythical beast on the road, I will increase your salary by another 10%. Okay, Meow, boss, I will pray every day that you will capture a mythical beast." Meow Meow said excitedly. He likes this kind of thing that can make money by talking the most. "Wait, boss, you can't capture this EV. This EV should have an owner." Stone Town, Taichi. Kajiro said again. Chapter 63, Rich, Part 8. "Boss, why should we be so kind to send EV back? It's so cute. Wouldn't it be better to keep it by ourselves? He was abandoned anyway. We are also giving him a better life." Zahu and the other two found the sign hanging around Eevee's neck and followed the instructions on the sign and walked towards Stone Town. But on the way, Meow Meow teased the cute little Eevee, and the more he teased, the more reluctant he was to let it go. And then he had a sneaky idea. "Don't come on, this is someone else's Pokémon, and we naturally have to send it back to others after we find it. There are food and water prepared next to Eevee, so it's obviously not abandoned," Zahu said. "Okay, Meow." Meow Meow looked listless when he thought about sending the little cutie in his hand away. Zahu shook his head and walked with Kajiro to the place mentioned on the EV sign and looked up to see an extremely luxurious villa manor. "Wow, it's so spectacular," Kajiro exclaimed. Kajiro, it's normal for Meow Meow to say that, but are you suitable?" Zahu looked at Kajiro and said. If he remembered correctly, Kajiro's doghouse was a villa. That was in the past. "I'm out now," Kajiro said. Eevee, Zahu and the other two had just come in. 3 men with red, yellow, and blue hair looked at the Eevee in Meow Meow's hands excitedly, thanked Zahu and the other two, and then shouted to one side, "Tai, come out quickly, your Eevee is back, don't lose it again in the future. If you lose it again, you are not worthy of being a Pokémon trainer." As soon as the voice fell, a child about 6 or 7 years old came out dejectedly. "Little friend, your Eevee doesn't seem to be lost by accident." Zahu walked to Tai and said, "Why did you bring it back?" Who would have thought that Tai would yell at Zahu after hearing what Zahu said? Zahu was stunned for no reason, but the Eevee next to him couldn't help but throw himself into Tai's arms when he saw his master and licked Tai's face. Tai also showed a doting expression on his face. "It seems that you should like your Eevee very much. What's going on? Tell your brother." Zahu ignored Tai's little emotions and smiled kindly. Children occasionally lose their tempers, and being too fussy seems too petty. Before Tai answered Zahu's doubts, his 3 brothers answered for Tai. "Tai, listen carefully, you will also debut as a trainer in the future. As our younger brother, you must win your first game, and it is impossible to win the first game with Eevee. Like us, we evolved Eevee in the first game, and then won all the way to now. The key to the first victory is evolution." The 3 brothers almost spoke this paragraph in sync. Little Taichi, who was being watched by his 3 brothers, said weakly, "I don't think winning or losing is very important." Naive. As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 brothers all used their fear face ability and taught Taichi the importance of evolving Eevee. Zahu wiped his sweat secretly. He knew why Taichi secretly hid Eevee. The initial Pokémon of the 3 brothers were all Eevee, and they evolved into Rally, Vaporeon, and Flame respectively using evolution stones. Then, if Taichi, as the younger brother, let Eevee evolve into a certain Pokémon, it would be a disguised support that one of the 3 of them had the best Pokémon. So, Taichi, the younger brother, couldn't stand the pressure and chose to escape. However, the 3 brothers had different opinions, and finally they started to quarrel. Zahu looked at Taichi's confused look and couldn't help but meddle in his business, saying, "Wait a minute, Taichi looks confused. Can you 3 brothers stop arguing? Don't force him to make a decision at this time. We are the Eevee family, and we want to evolve. We are also planning to hold a garden party for Taichi in a few days. Do you have anything that needs an evolution stone? If you need it, I will give you an evolution stone now. Any kind will do." Reizo, the eldest of the 3 brothers, said, "That's right, the biggest secret of Pokémon is evolution." The remaining 2 also said in unison, "Who told you? Every trainer has his own path. It can even be said that there are as many training paths as there are trainers. Pokémon are different from each other, and their evolution is also different. Whether to evolve or not is a matter decided by the trainer and Pokémon. Most people choose to evolve, but it doesn't mean anything if a few people don't evolve. Zahu couldn't help but shook his head. He remembered that the three guys in front of him and Taichi also appeared in the animation, and they were called the four brothers of Eevee. However, the strength of these three brothers was really weak, and they were beaten by Musashi and Kojiro. It was because of that episode that he had the impression that the three evolved Pokémon were very weak. As brothers, the three of you should first listen to the opinions of your younger brothers, instead of blindly instilling your opinions. Zahu said. Who are you? Why are you lecturing us here? Do you know Pokémon very well? Huo Zhang, who had flaming hair, seemed to have a hot temper and directly accused Zahu. Of course I know. Our boss is the youngest Pokémon doctor in the league. Meow Meow appeared domineeringly at this time to prove to Zahu that as Zahu's Pokémon, he fully understood that playing an excellent luck he could get rich rewards. The youngest doctor? Wait, the youngest doctor, isn't it the doctor who discovered the latest evolution of Eevee, the fairy Pokémon? Did you really discover the new evolution of Eevee? Huo Zhang said excitedly. Yes, new evolution. Zahu directly released the fairy Pokémon to the four brothers. The four brothers were known as Eevee experts, but it was the first time they saw a live fairy Pokémon in person. They couldn't help but widen their eyes. Their four Eevee family members also looked at fairy Pokémon, the new member, with wide eyes. Especially Taichi's Eevee, looking at fairy Pokémon, suddenly felt that it would be nice to evolve into its appearance. It turns out that Eevee really has a new evolution type. We have been unable to research it and thought it was fake. Doctor, how did you train it? We have been trying for a long time, but we can't let Eevee learn fairy type skills. Reizo and the other two exclaimed. This is easy to say, as long as you find a Pokémon that can use fairy type skills to teach you all the time. In addition, two more types of Eevee evolution types have been discovered in the Johto region, namely the psychic type Sun Pokémon and the dark type Moon Pokémon. They also do not require evolution stones to evolve, but only require affinity to be improved, and they evolve into different Pokémon during the day and night respectively. Zahu said. So there are a total of 6 evolution types of Eevee, right? Reizo said. It's impossible to say for sure, because there are too many genes of Eevee. Theoretically, there should be as many types of Eevee as there are attributes. We can only say that only 6 types of Eevee evolutions have been studied, but we can't say that Eevee has only 6 evolutions. Zahu said. If nothing else, he knew that Eevee could also evolve into Leaf Spirit and Ice Spirit. So that's how it is. We call ourselves experts on Eevee, but we don't know so much. Lei Zhang suddenly realized. If it's what Dr. Zahu said, then Eevee will have strong combat power, even if it doesn't evolve. Shu Zhang said. Yes, if that's the case, Tei won't have to evolve, and we will all be the 4 brothers of Eevee. Huo Zhang said. Really, can I stop Eevee from evolving? Tei said excitedly. Yes, Dr. Zahu said it, so it must make sense. Lei Zhang and the other two said in unison. Thank you, Dr. Zahu. Tei also thanked Zahu excitedly. Seeing this, Zahu smiled secretly in his heart. Sure enough, the same words, when spoken in different identities, would have different effects. The words spoken by Zahu, an ordinary person, were just insignificant opinions, while the words spoken by Zahu, the Pokémon doctor, were expert opinions. It seemed right that he came out to travel a few years later and became a doctor first. Forget it, you have already solved your problems, so there is nothing for me to stay here. I'll leave first. Zahu said. Wait a minute, doctor, we brothers all like Eevee the most. We always thought we knew Eevee very well, until we met you, doctor. We realized that we didn't know enough. I wonder if you can explain it in detail for us? Lei Zhang said. But I still have to travel and challenge the battle frontier. Zahu declined. It's not that he didn't know about Eevee. On the contrary, when he studied how Eevee evolved into a fairy elf, he further studied Eevee's attributes. He once wanted to try to study Eevee with other attributes. Although it ended in failure, when it comes to understanding Eevee, Zahu can be called an authority in this area. It's just that, because he knows too much, if Zahu really talks about it, it will take 3 or 4 days to finish. Doctor, we know this is very troublesome for you, but can you answer some of our questions and give us some professional advice? There will be many friends coming tomorrow. We plan to establish a Pokémon trainer friendship circle based on evolution stones. We would like to ask you to tell us the secret of evolution. The 4 brothers Lei Zhang said eagerly. Looking at the eager expressions of the 4 people, Zahu sighed helplessly. It is the duty of every Pokémon doctor to solve the doubts on the road of training for legal and responsible trainers. Okay, I'll give you a lecture later. I still have something to say about Pokémon evolution. Zahu said. Thank you, Doctor, we don't have anything good. This is Stone Town, which specializes in evolution stones. Doctor, if you don't mind, we brothers plan to give you 2 sets of complete evolution stones. Lei Zhang said gratefully. Zahu was stunned. 2 complete sets of evolution stones. Why didn't you say so earlier? You know, although evolution stones are not so rare, they are rare and each one is worth a lot of money, not to mention a complete set. Basically, a single evolution stone can be the champion prize of an annual competition in a town, not to mention 2 complete sets. Even if Zahu is a doctor, it is very difficult to get 2 sets. Doctor, Lei Zhang called Zahu. Nothing, let's prepare for tomorrow's lecture. Zahu had a serious face, and only after turning around did the corners of his mouth rise wildly. If you had this reward, you should have said it earlier, not to mention giving lectures for 2 or 3 days. For this reward, I would also give lectures for 20 or 30 days. Anyway, in this luxurious manner, we can eat and drink well. Sure enough, knowledge is wealth. Chapter 64, Kajiro's Cat Dog. Missing person notice, looking for Master Kajiro. Those who provide effective information will receive a bonus of 10,000 yuan. The Zahu trio, who had just finished their lecture, continued on their journey to dominate the battle development zone. Halfway through the journey, Mayomio keenly discovered the missing person notice on the side of the road, and then Kajiro became a mobile gold coin in its eyes. What are you doing? Don't try to betray me. Kajiro looked at Mayomio with a vigilant look, feeling that Mayomio was extremely dangerous at the moment, and subconsciously moved his body towards Zahu, seeking a pitiful sense of security. Boss, although he has no humanity, at least he will not sell him for such a small amount of money. At least he will sell him for 1 million. Okay, stop making trouble, Kajiro. You should still remember your home, right? Let's start the journey of disguise. Zahu said. No problem. Kajiro said decisively, and conjured up a lot of Makute tools out of nothing, and even a nightgown. Boss, if we put on this nightgown, no one will find us. Kajiro picked up the nightgown, and showed it off to Zahu. Are you serious? Zahu looked at the nightgown in Kajiro's hand with a serious face. Wearing a nightgown in broad daylight, do you think everyone's IQ is the same as yours? Yes, put on the nightgown, then everyone will become dark, and no one can see us. Kajiro seemed not to feel Zahu's emotions at all, and said with a matter-of-fact expression. Kakazahu clenched his fists, and finally couldn't hold back the surging power in his body, and punched Kajiro on the head. Do you really think everyone is as stupid as you? Wearing a nightgown in broad daylight, are you afraid that others won't find you? Is that so? Kajiro shrank his head timidly. Forget it, let's be simple and rough. I'll ride Articuno, and you and me are what will ride Pockets. We'll fly in directly. If something really happens, we'll just run away. Zahu said. That's right, simple and rough. If you can't beat it, just run away. Kajiro said excitedly. He has a lot of experience in running away. Okay, let's go. You guys go to Pockets, and Kajiro, can you train your Pidgeot well? Even if it's just to bully caterpillars in the woods, level up a little bit, and when you get Pidgeot, you can fly freely by yourself. Zahu said. Isn't there always a boss when you encounter a battle? I'll just sit and watch the show. Kajiro said. Zahu rolled his eyes, not knowing whether it was good or bad for Kajiro to meet him. He released Articuno and Pockets, and then the trio rode on the 2 Pokémons, and flew to Kajiro's house. In the sky, looking down at the earth, those tall and majestic buildings on weekdays seemed to have become ants. A completely different feeling filled Zahu's heart. No wonder many people like to climb and fly, because it feels really comfortable to stand high. After seeing the vastness of the sky, arrogance will decrease, and courage will increase instead. After flying for a while, a luxurious manor appeared in front of Zahu and others. It was a gorgeous European-style building with gardens, rivers and various special landscapes. It was magnificent, and covered an area of hundreds of acres. To describe it in one word, it was luxurious. To describe it in 2 words, it was still rich. Wow, boss, whose house is this? I want to live in it. If Meow Meow lives in such a house, I would be willing to die. Meow Meow said excitedly. Really want to live here? No problem, as long as you can make our Uncle Zyajiro happy, you can live here for the rest of your life. Zahu shrugged indifferently. Huh. This is Zyajir's home. Meow Meow's eyes were full of kind little stars. Even in the sky, he still made a gesture of worshipping the boss, Uncle Zyajiro. Let's be friends. If I had known that Zyajiro was so rich, why would I follow the boss? I should have just followed him at the beginning. Meow. Uncle Zyajiro, let's be friends. Yes, if you want to stay, I can keep you here, Kajiro said. Although he didn't live at home, he could still ensure that his Pokémon lived happily at home. Really? Meow, Uncle Kajiro, I love you. Then I have a request. I want to be treated like a human, not live in a cat's nest. I want to live in a big house like this. Meow pointed to a luxurious villa below with shining eyes. This room is really luxurious. It is bigger than the research institute at home. It is really a castle. You mean this room? It's not for people to live in. It's a dog house for my Caterpie, Kajiro said lightly. Dog house? Meow was shocked. Are you kidding me? Such a luxurious room is a dog house. Is your dog so big? Does it need to live in such a big house? Yes, this is the house where Caterpie lives. Let's go in together. Kajiro jumped off Pockets excitedly and pushed open the door of the doghouse. He heard a dog barking, and a Caterpie excitedly rushed towards him. Zyocab. When Kajiro saw his first Pokémon, his heart was also joyful. He hugged Growlithe tightly, not to mention Growlithe, and kept licking Growlithe's face with his tongue. What a doghouse. Boss, you are so weak. Meow Meow looked at Zahu and said, if you want to change a new boss, get out now. I don't want to accept you yet, Zahu said with disdain. You said that tomorrow, I will pack my luggage and go to find a new boss. Meow Meow shouted, I'm about to leave, and you don't even want to keep me. Our friendship is over. Master Kajiro, you are finally back. Kajiro's excitement did not last long. An excited female voice suddenly sounded. Kajiro was immediately scared out of his wits. He jumped up suddenly and screamed, Rumigia. Zahu looked in the direction Kajiro was looking and saw a young girl in a lady's dress holding a fan and walking slowly and ladylike with several housekeepers beside her. Sure enough, Kajiro, your home is more secure than the rocket space. We were discovered not long after we came in. Zahu said. Boss, this is not the time to talk about this. They are very scary. Let's run away first. Kajiro said in a panic. Don't be so cowardly. Since you are already home, why don't you go see your parents before leaving? Zahu said calmly. No, let's go. They will be fine anyway. Kajiro said. Master Kajiro, you are wrong. It is my duty as your fiancé to teach you to be a qualified gentleman. You are not a qualified gentleman yet, so I have to keep you. Rumigia covered her mouth with a fan and said very elegantly. However, Zahu, who had watched the anime, was really uncomfortable looking at Rumigia's elegance. He remembered that Rumigia's actual personality was the same as Musash's, but she was just a little better at disguise. As for you outsiders, thank you for bringing Master Kajiro home, but as irrelevant people, please leave. Rumigia threw out her Pokeball and released her Pokémon, Queen Flower. Queen Flower, use paralysis powder. The queen flower with large petals immediately emitted powder from the stamens on its head, spreading towards Zahu and Meowth. Paralysis powder, my favorite trick. Articuno, Togekiss, flap your wings. Zahu gave the order calmly, and Articuno and Togekiss immediately flapped their wings. Although they didn't use any special tricks, the wind raised by the flapping of wings alone was enough to blow the paralysis powder back. Rumigia and her group were unable to dodge and were immediately hit by the paralysis powder. Paralyzed all over, unable to move. In the real world, sleeping powder and paralysis powder are both things that can be called small bugs. Under normal circumstances, if you are hit by these two tricks, you will directly lose your combat ability and let the enemy slaughter you. In actual use, paralysis powder is slightly better than sleeping powder, because in reality, sleeping powder is sleeping, and it can be woken up in advance, such as Zyozzy waking up Snorlax, and Pikachu used an electric ball to wake himself up before falling asleep. But paralysis powder is different. If you inhale too much at once, your whole body will be paralyzed, and you can hardly move. In the game, there is a 25% chance that you can't use a special move, but here it is 100%. However, the limitations of these two special moves are also obvious. That is, they are all powders, which can be directly blown away by special moves such as fierce storms. If you control it well, you can even blow it back directly. The effect is particularly obvious now, and Lumigia and the people around her are all down. "Boss, you are so awesome," Kajiro said with admiration. "What a ghost. Your Caterpie is a first-class fire Pokémon, which just restrains the other party's Tyrannosaurus, but it is weak and bullied. Take out your fire, brother, and go head on," Zahu said. "But I think fire is not very good either. It's better to grow flowers," Kajiro said. "Okay, grass type boss, you really don't want to see your parents, so are you going to take Growlithe with you or stay here?" Zahu said. "Why stay here? Let's go," Kajiro said impatiently. As for Growlithe, Kajiro hasn't made a decision yet. Growlithe anxiously bit Kajiro's trouser leg, indicating that he wanted to leave. "Zyaoka, you want to leave too? Then let's go together." Kajiro touched Growlithe's head and said. Growlithe barked twice excitedly, then quickly ran into the doghouse, and after a while, came out with a Pokémon ball in its mouth. "Okay, Zyaoka, let's travel together in the future." Kajiro picked up the Pokémon ball, put away Growlithe, then sat on Pokémon, and slipped away without looking back. Zahu shook his head helplessly, and rode Articuno away. On a balcony in the manor, a couple dressed in noble attire looked at Kajiro, who left quickly, and shook their heads at the same time. "Kajiro, you still don't want to come back?" the lady said. "There's nothing I can do. You're used to being wild outside and just don't want to come back. But it's good to know that he's alive. Anyway, I know the fixed location, Pallet Town. If I become a Pokémon doctor, it's okay to come back and get married," the middle-aged gentleman said. "Yes, so during this time, let's enjoy our World of 2. I just booked a round the world boat ticket online yesterday. Let's board the boat together tomorrow," the lady said. "Traveling around the world, I've wanted to do this for a long time. Now that we see that Kajiro is fine, we feel relieved. Let's go directly." The middle-aged gentleman smiled, took his wife's hand, and walked leisurely to the garden, ready to have a happy afternoon tea. As for Kajiro, in fact, the child was just an accident. I shouldn't have said I would update more chapters before. During this period, the number of recommendations and collections has increased dramatically, from 5,000 to 10,000. This is the 5th update. The number of recommendations has also increased by more than 2,000. There are also rewards. Several book friends have rewarded several times, which adds up to at least one update. I updated one chapter yesterday, and today there are 9 chapters in total. I will send all the manuscripts in my inventory to pay off my debt. I will stop adding chapters for the time being, otherwise the monks and Taoists will be too busy. I will update 3 chapters a day before the end of the National Day holiday, but after that, I will resume the normal 2 chapters. Chapter 65, Frozen Charizard. Pokémon Certification Exam. A professional organization conducts a double exam of written test and Pokémon actual combat. If you pass the certification exam successfully, you will be qualified to participate in the Pokémon League conference. It is suitable for some people who are unable to travel around to challenge gyms due to various affairs, such as Joe at the Pokémon Center or some office workers. It is estimated that there are few people like Zahu who are too lazy to fight because they think the gym is too weak. After solving the matter of Kajiro's house, the trio rushed to the Pokémon certification exam without stopping, and arrived in a few days. Pokémon certification exam. This is my first time here. Boss, if I pass it, can I also participate in the Pokémon conference? Kajiro said. Yes, you can, but you now have a Pidgeot, a Squirtle, a Mononoke, and a Growlithe. Although the attributes are complete, the number is too small. Even if you add the fostered Squirtle, you only have 5 Pokémon, and you don't even have the ability of 6 to 6. Zahu said. Isn't there still some time before the Quartz conference? And the 6 to 6 duel is after the quarterfinals. I probably can't make it. Kajiro said. Don't be discouraged, have some confidence, train your Growlithe more, and upgrade Pidgeot to Pidgeot. It's not impossible to make it to the quarterfinals. Zahu said. Then I'll try. Kajiro was greatly encouraged. Originally in the animation, he and Musashi were not very determined to be villains at the beginning. They had thought about participating in the Pokémon League tournament, but they didn't succeed. Later on, they were completely determined to be villains. Moreover, now that they have received Zahu's education, they still have ideas about becoming the league champion. Wait a minute, boss, isn't that Zyos? Meowth suddenly said. Zyos? What is he doing here? Zahu looked over in surprise and found the familiar trio at the registration place, followed by a boy with a camera. Curious, Zahu walked over and patted Zyos on the head and said, why are you here if you don't challenge the gym? Brother, you're here too. Zyos turned around and found that it was Zahu, showing an excited expression. I'm too lazy to challenge the gym, so of course I have to come here to take the Pokémon certification exam. It's strange that you're here. And your new friend, introduce him to me. Zahu said. Oh, he's Archer, a genius in taking pictures of Pokémon. Zyos explained that his new companion was good at taking the most beautiful pictures of Pokémon. Because of some strange reasons, a group of people got together like this, and when they were chatting, they talked about Zyos' strength. Zyos poured cold water on Zyos as usual, and kept talking nonsense, pointing out the cruel fact that Zyos' badges were all given away. Zyos refused to do it, saying that he was capable, and he had to come to participate in this to verify his strength. So that's how it is. Then you can leave now. You are not suitable to come here. You should challenge the gym to enhance your knowledge in Pokémon strength, and then challenge the league. Zahu said. Why, brother, I'm here. Let me show my strength. Zyos said dissatisfiedly. Show your strength? Experience the last result. Zahu couldn't help but complain. Brother, you can't always look at people with old eyes. I'm very strong now. Zyos retorted. Okay, then let me ask you, are the lines on the belly of the mosquito coil tadpole counterclockwise or clockwise? What is the difference between the flame on the tail of the little dragon and the flame on the tail of the little horse? How many times the length of the tongue of the big tongue? And what is the special move that Meowth can only learn when it is Meowth? Zahu said. The lines on the belly of the mosquito coil tadpole? The length of the tongue of the big tongue? Zyos' head popped up countless question marks. What is this talking about? How do I know? Meowth, what is the special move that can only be learned before you evolve? Zyos looked curious and couldn't help but secretly ask Meowth for the answer. This question, even if you ask me, I don't know. Meowth spread his hands and said that his skill bar had long been filled with talking. In addition to crazy grabbing, he didn't know any other special moves. What? You don't know? Zyos's eyes widened. Is this really a Meow? Meow shrugged. He is a unique Meow. He didn't bother to answer questions that most Meows would know. Even if I don't do well in the written test, don't I still have the actual test? I will definitely win. Zyos said. The Pokémon battles in the Pokémon certification exam use Pokémon provided by the Pokémon agency. Before you open the Pokéball, you don't even know what Pokémon you have. How many special moves do you know about the Pokémon you don't know? In addition, are your tactics up to par? Your Pokémon path is Bond and Trust, but where do you get the Bond and Trust for the new Pokémon? Don't make trouble, go back and challenge it well. Zahu said. Brother, you just underestimate me. I already have 6 badges, and I have a very strong Pokémon. Let's have a Pokémon duel. Zyos said. Challenge me? Zahu looked at Zyos with a confident face and said to Zyos, have you beaten him less recently? I haven't beaten him for a long time. Zyos said. Fight more in the future. Don't be polite. He deserves a blow. Forget it. Now that I have met him, I will teach him a lesson. Zahu walked to an open space on the side and released his Ninetales. No matter how many Pokémon you use, I will use this one. Zahu said. Brother, I will let you see my growth. Zyos's eyes were full of fighting spirit. He stared at the Ninetales and said, the Ninetales is an ice and fairy type and is restrained by the fire type. In this case, let Charizard come out. Charizard? Do you already have it? Zahu was slightly stunned, looking at the Charizard in front of him, which looked strong and ferocious. The final evolution of Charizard among the 3 Pokémons, in Zahu's opinion, is also the most trainable one among the 3 Pokémons in Kanto, and has the ability to fly that the other 2 do not have. Unlike Venusaur and Blastoise, after evolution, they can basically only be used as meat shields and turrets. Yes, he evolved from my Charmander. Let's. Before Zyossi finished saying let's compete, the Charizard suddenly blew a large mouthful of flames at Zyossi, roasting him until he was charcoal on the outside and tender on the inside. Zahu couldn't help but look surprised. He thought that his appearance would change the original situation, but he didn't expect that it would still develop the same as before. Zyossi couldn't control the Charizard. Charizard, don't be like this. Listen to my orders. Zyossi looked at the Charizard who didn't listen to his orders again, and suddenly shouted in distress and anxiety. Charizard gave a disdainful look, and stomped his big feet on the ground. The whole thing was like an earthquake. Zyossi was shocked, and couldn't get close to Charizard at all. Then Charizard flew in the sky on its own. Zahu shook his head helplessly. Who could have imagined that this person and pet who were so out of tune with each other would defeat Articuno in the future? However, seeing his brother's embarrassing performance of not being able to command his own Pokémon, Zahu couldn't help but give an order to Ninetales. Use Ice Gravel on Charizard. Ninetales chirped, and several ice particles condensed in its mouth, and a large piece of it hit Charizard in the sky. Charizard was hit by the overwhelming attack, and anger suddenly appeared in its eyes. Fire Pokémon have a relatively impatient temper, not to mention that Zyos's Charizard has not met an opponent so far. With his invincible mentality, seeing that Ninetales dared to provoke him, he immediately sprayed blazing flames at Ninetales. Ninetales, use Magic Flash to confront head-on. Ninetales sprayed a strong colorful light from its mouth to confront the spray flames head-on. The two forces collided head-on and directly hit each other. Strange colors burst out from the Ninetales' ice blue eyes, and its 9 beautiful white tails suddenly stretched out, flashing with strange radiant power. As Zahu's first Pokémon, he has not fallen behind in training over the years, and is an absolute elite of the king level. The power of light condensed, suddenly breaking the flames and attacking Charizard. Charizard felt pain from the force, and the flames accumulated in its mouth became larger, erupting with more ferocious jet flames, but the level of him and the Ninetale was there, not to mention that the attacks were always blocked by the Ninetale. Even if they were not, the Ninetale would not be hurt much. Charizard, don't just use jet flames, use a more powerful flame vortex. Zyossi was anxious and gave orders. However, his order did not get a response from Charizard, and Charizard still stubbornly used jet flames. Zahu sighed and said, it's time to end it. Ninetales, use Freezing Ray, kill him in 1 second. Ninetales raised its head elegantly, and an ice ball was brewing in its mouth. A strong blue light burst out instantly, and hit Charizard at once, and then instantly froze Charizard's entire body, turning it into a lump of ice, and falling heavily to the ground. Charizard, Zyossi and Pikachu both ran over anxiously. Zahu took Ninetales back into the Pokeball, and said with a rare coldness, there are many masters in this world, and even more powerful Pokémon trainers. Never be complacent. Your strength is far from enough. You also need to train your Pokémon well, otherwise your level is still far from the world's #1 Pokémon master. After that, Zahu didn't even bother to take the Pokémon certification test, and left with Meowth and Kajiro. Chapter 66. I'm optimistic about you. Come on, Charizard, it will warm up soon. In a temporarily rented hotel room, Zyossi rubbed Charizard's back vigorously, trying to warm up Charizard's body. On a mountain next to the hotel, Zahu and his trio stood there, and saw this scene through a window on one side. Boss, Charizard is so pitiful, why did you hit him so hard? Zyogero couldn't help complaining. Yes, it is Zyog's strongest Pokémon at present. Even if you want to hit Zyog, you don't have to be so cruel. Just hit Zyog. Meowth also complained openly, which was rare. If you don't hit him so hard, how can Zyog realize that he still needs a lot of growth? And how can Charizard realize that he needs a trainer to grow with him? Zahu said. In the animation, Zyog's Charizard never listened to Zyog until he met a Passerby in the Orange Islands. He was beaten by the Passerby's Frog and Freeze Ray, and then was taken care of by Zyog all night, and was influenced by Zyog. So, this is why you, Brother Zahu, deliberately acted so cruelly. As soon as Zahu finished speaking, a clear female voice sounded behind him. Zahu turned around in surprise, and saw Zyog standing there holding to GP. Why are you here? And how did this to GP come from? Zahu asked. In the animation, the egg of this to GP was brought out by Zyog from Dasha Valley, because at that time no one knew that to GP had the habit of treating the first person he saw when he was born as his parent, so he followed Zyog. But now Zyog saw his own to GP hatch with his own eyes, and he knew this, so why would he make this mistake? He belongs to Zyog, but Zyog's level of care is too poor, so I usually take care of him. Zyog explained. Is that so? It looks like it is half wild. Zyog can't even use the Pokeball. Zahu said. Yes, because to GP is too young and can't even use special moves. It can't take up the number of Pokémon of the trainer in vain. Zyog said. No special moves. I'll teach him one day. Zahu said with a smile. The GP in Zyog's hand is not a simple GP. Although he doesn't seem to be particularly powerful in the animation, GP often uses the finger wave to solve the crisis. To be honest, Zahu has always doubted whether the luck value of the GP in Zyog's hand is full. You know, the finger wave is to randomly select one of the hundreds of Pokémon special moves and then perform it. If you are lucky, you can shake out the destruction of the death ray, but if you are unlucky, a water splash will kill you. And GP has always been the most suitable for using the finger wave, and Zahu even doubts whether he can control it. But Brother Zahu, you really won't hurt Charizard and Zyog. Zyog's hands are frozen now. Zyog is still worried. So distressed. Do you like Zyog? Zahu showed an inexplicable smile on his face. No way. How could I possibly like that idiot Zyog? Zyog retorted subconsciously, with two blushes on her face that were rare. Little friend, you blushed. Are you shy, or are you lying? Zahu continued to smirk, playing the role of an unscrupulous uncle. No, I don't like that idiot Zyog. I'm going back first. Zyog hugged to GP and wanted to run away. Wait, don't be so anxious. Take this potion back. It has a good recovery effect on the frostbite caused by Ninetales, and it will help Charizard's future development. Zahu stopped Zyog and gave her a bottle of potion that had been prepared long ago. Brother Zahu, you are so well prepared. Zyog said. How can you not be well prepared when you go out? I also have a bottle of special medicine for curing Pokémon, which is useful for all Pokémon. You can take it too. If you don't have it, go to Granny Saki to ask for it on your way back. Zahu said. Thank you, Brother Zahu. Zyog took the special medicine and then disappeared in front of Zahu and the other two at an extremely fast speed, fully demonstrating the physique of a Super Cerulean. This little girl is not really in love with Zyog, that blockhead, is she? Kajiro gossiped. From her performance just now, I can't be sure. After all, a little girl will inevitably be shy when hearing about boyfriends and girlfriends. But judging from her usual performance, it's 60%. Zahu said. He watched all the original chapters, from Kanto to the Orange Islands, and then to Johto, without missing a single episode, as well as the Lugia movies. Zahu really doesn't believe that Zyog doesn't like Zyog, or even has a crush on him. Just look at the Lugia movie. Zyog said that Zyog is the trouble she has to take care of, and then jumped into the water without saying a word. It's very obvious. A personality like Zyog can also make a difference. That's amazing, boss. Look at Zyog. We've been traveling together. This is called living together day and night. Maybe it will develop faster than you and the boss lady Kona. Meow meow said. Zahu smiled disdainfully. Do you dare to bet your entire salary? If I don't help Zyozzy, when my child with Kona is old enough, Zyozzy will still have to live alone with Pikachu? It is almost certain that Zyuksha has a crush on Zyozzy, but what's the use? Is love a matter for one person? It's a matter for two people. One hand can't clap. Let alone the secret love of Zyuksha. Even if she later openly fell in love with Serena, what about it? Didn't she still leave alone in the end? Looking at Zyozzy, who was infinitely concerned about Charizard in the room, Zahu shook his head helplessly. I really don't know if Zyozzy's emotional intelligence was all given to Pokémon. In short, even if the harem is everywhere, covering Kanto, Johto, Hone, Sinnoh, Kalos and other major regions, it is still useless. It's like living a life with Pikachu in your arms. That's impossible. Don't you humans say that if a man chases a woman, it's easy to get her to chase you? Meow Meow was born with the wrong gender, otherwise it wouldn't be so troublesome to chase Madonna. Meow Meow said. What idioms have you learned recently? Just listen to them, don't take them seriously. If a woman chases a man, it's easy to get her to chase you. The guy next to you has been chased by his fiancée for almost 10 years, but now he's still running away and following us around. Zahu said. Boss, don't blame me all the time. Zyujiro said aggrievedly. He felt that he was always being blamed recently. He was inexplicably hit by Zahu's guns. He felt so aggrieved. Really? There's nothing I can do. There are only 3 of us. If I don't use you as an example, no one will give me an example. Zahu said. Zyujiro opened his mouth to refute, but after thinking for a long time, he couldn't think of any answer. What you said makes sense, and I was speechless. Okay, prepare for tomorrow's Pokémon certification exam. After all, you are a candidate for a doctorate. It would be embarrassing if you can't even pass the certification exam. Zahu said. Chapter 67. The certification exam begins. The tongue of a big tongue is twice as long as its body. True or false? The 1,000-year-old Ninetales. The 10,000-year-old Squirtle. True or false? Sorlang is known as the master of kicking skills. True or false? The first place where gas bombs were discovered was a bathhouse. True or false? The Pokémon certification exam consists of a written test and an actual duel, and the written test is divided into 2 parts. A simple true or false judgment question, and guessing the Pokémon by looking at the shadow of the Pokémon. At this moment, Zahu and Kajiro are both doing this set of questions. Kajiro is concentrating on analyzing it. Unlike him, who ranked last in the original trajectory, he now has the foundation to become a quasi-doctor. His knowledge of Pokémon is naturally rich, and he can do this set of questions easily. As for Zahu, he is now answering the questions with his eyes closed, fully expressing his disdain for this set of questions. About 20 minutes later, after answering the second set of questions, everyone went out together to prepare to see the results. Brother, come and see, you are the first place. Zyozzy waved excitedly at Zahu in front of the notice board. Zahu taught him a lesson yesterday, so he did not take part in the Pokémon certification exam today, but he still came to watch as a relative. It would be embarrassing if I don't get the first place. Strictly speaking, if I don't get full marks, I will not live up to my title of doctor, Zahu said. He got full marks in the first part of the general knowledge questions, but he got one wrong in the second part of the Pokémon. By looking at the picture, there is no way. The image is a shadowed sphere. Anyone with a normal brain circuit would guess that it is Thunderball or Naughty, but the answer is Jigglypuff looking from top to bottom. When he knew the answer, Zahu almost wanted to pull the examiner out and beat him up. What kind of a hell of a question is this? Are you testing Pokémon common sense, or playing a brain teaser? No wonder the champions of previous tournaments all won the gym competition, and almost none of them passed the Pokémon certification exam, or graduated from the academy. This is really too ridiculous. Oh, right, Kajiro, your results are not bad either. 15th place. Zahu congratulated Kajiro. It's all because of the boss's good teaching. And I always feel that dozens of questions are so familiar to me, as if I have seen them somewhere before. Kajiro said embarrassedly. Did someone leak the questions of the Pokémon certification exam? Zyuksha asked in a low voice. It's not that someone leaked the questions, but that set of test papers was made by me. Zahu said lightly. What? Zyozzy, Zyagagang, Zyaksha, Kajiro, and Archer were all shocked. Even GP and Pikachu looked confused, and even Monini jumped out to grab the rhythm and show his presence. What are you doing? Everyone, pay attention to your image, Zahu said. He also realized this serious problem halfway through. This test paper was actually made by him. He remembered that when Professor Oak asked him to do a questionnaire on Pokémon knowledge, he didn't care at the time. He just heard Professor Oak say that the purpose was not particularly important, so he just wrote it casually without even checking the information. He just relied on the knowledge in his mind and sent it to Professor Oak. Nothing happened afterwards, so he forgot about it. If he hadn't participated in the Pokémon certification exam today, he wouldn't have realized that the test paper he did was actually the written test paper for the Pokémon certification exam. Brother Zahu, are you serious? Zyaksha asked cautiously. This matter was really too bullshit. Letting the designer of the test paper do this test paper is even more outrageous than someone leaking the questions and letting the candidates know the questions in advance. If it's not true, how could it be blown up? The database of this Pokémon certification agency is too bad. The things I made a few years ago are still there now. Zahu shook his head. Everyone was speechless. Finally, it was Zyozzy who broke the shock first and said, "That's right, brother, my Charizard has recovered, and he listens to me. After you take the Pokémon certification exam, can you play with me again?" "Okay, I'll play with you after I finish the next random Pokémon challenge," Zahu said. Random Pokémon? What is that? Zyozzy asked curiously. It's a fun thing. The contestants and instructors randomly choose a belt with 3 Pokémon hanging on it and then play against the examiner. It tests the trainer's familiarity with Pokémon, which has some merits, Zahu said. That's right, GP, come here, shake hands, and give me some luck. Zahu thought about it and suddenly stretched out his hand to GP and Zyaksha's arms. GP had just been born and didn't know anything else, but with strong instincts, he quickly sensed Zahu's kindness and stretched out his little finger to Zahu. Well, with the good luck of getting GP, I should definitely win this game, Zahu said with a smile, and then he and Kajiro entered the competition area, picked up a belt, and stood opposite an examiner in the competition venue. Come out, let's see what my first Pokémon is. Zahu threw a Pokéball, and then a big snake made of rocks appeared in the venue. Onyx, it seems that I'm lucky. Zahu smiled slightly. With the 2 attributes of rock and ground, as long as it is used well, the possibility of winning is very high. Okay, get ready to accept the challenge, my Pokémon. The examiner on the opposite side also threw out a Pokémon. Then Zahu was stunned. The opponent's Pokémon was Raikou. Is it really so lucky? Onyx will win, no matter how it fights Raikou, Zyanagang said. As the owner of Onyx, he knew clearly that, as long as it does not touch water, electric Pokémon will hardly hurt Onyx. It's all thanks to GP. Zyaksha smiled and teased GP, and GP also waved his hands excitedly. Examiner, are you sure you want to compete again? Zahu said. Even if the attributes are disadvantageous, a duel between Pokémon cannot be won by simply using attributes, not to mention that Raikkonen has more than just electric skills. The examiner said, you are the examinee, you go first. Okay, Onyx, dig a hole, Zahu ordered calmly. He did not rashly use a skill like collision, just because the attributes were favorable, but first burrowed into the ground. The examiner on the opposite side was stunned. He did not expect that Zahu would choose the trick of digging a hole in this situation. In this way, he could not see where Onyx was, let alone attack. Impact, Zahu ordered. As soon as the voice fell, Onyx immediately drilled out from the ground under Raikkonen, fiercely slammed into Raikkonen's soft belly, and knocked him away. Next, rock collapse, Zahu said. Onyx roared, and many rocks on its body emerged from thin air and hit Raikkonen heavily. Raikkonen was unable to dodge and fell to the ground, completely losing his combat effectiveness. Thank you, Onyx. Zahu put away Onyx and smiled, then threw out his second Pokéball, and a frog Pokémon with seeds on its back appeared in front of him. Garlic King. Zahu subconsciously wanted to say the last word, but the strong desire to survive still made him control his mouth firmly and say his correct name, Bulbasaur, the grass type pet of the 3 major pets in Kanto. It's him, so I should win this time. The examiner on the opposite side suddenly threw out a fire Pokémon with excitement. Zahu's mouth twitched. There were 3 Pokémon in total, 2 of which were EV evolutions, and there was no need to guess the third one. It must be Vaporeon, but this was unfair. His Onix and Bulbasaur were both in the first form, and the opponents were all evolved. Didn't he shake hands with TGP? Didn't he get any luck, but his luck was absorbed instead? Zahu looked at TGP, who was still happy, and shook his head. Forget it. Fortunately, the order of these Pokémon cannot be changed at will. The examiner on the other side didn't know what was in the Pokéball. Otherwise, Zahu really didn't know how to play dirty tricks with the water spirit just now. After all, the levels were similar, and the 4-fold restraint was almost impossible to fight. Examinee, you should start first. Attack. The examiner looked excited, feeling that he had already won. Generally speaking, the fire spirit against Bulbasaur is a sure win. Zahu's eyes flashed. The level and attributes were both favorable to the opponent, so he could only play a dirty style. He ordered, Flying Leaf Blade. It's useless. Fire Spirit use Jet Flame. The examiner said in high spirits. The attribute restraint just now made him really unhappy. Now he can finally restrain the opponent. Fire Spirit spewed out a strong flame from its mouth, confronting head on, burning all the flying leaves from Bulbasaur in one breath, and then attacked Bulbasaur directly. Bulbasaur, use the Vine Whip to hit the ground and make yourself fly. Zahu ordered fiercely at the moment when the flame was about to reach. Bulbasaur, who was originally panicking, heard Zahu's command and immediately stretched out 2 long green vine whips to hit the ground, making himself fly. The flames could only pass through the middle of the vine whips and could not cause any harm to Bulbasaur. That's when, Sleep Powder, Zahu said. Bulbasaur was still in the air at this moment. Hearing Zahu's order, the seeds on its back immediately secreted some strange powder. The fire elf was caught off guard and inhaled the sleep powder, fell to the ground and fell asleep, as expected, but then used the parasitic seed. Zahu said. Seed Bulbasaur was also very excited, as if he felt his victory. The big seed on his back squeezed out a small seed and quickly planted it on the sleeping and unable to resist fire elf, and then quickly spread to grow branches, absorbing all the physical strength of the fire elf. The referee on the side looked at the fire elf and said, the fire elf has lost its ability to fight, and candidate Zahu wins. Chapter 68 Fighting the Charizard again. So strong, it actually ignored the attributes and let Bulbasaur beat Smolder. Zyanagang exclaimed. It was nothing special for Onix to beat Ragnarok, but Bulbasaur beat Smolder. It was really amazing. Yes, the first form of Bulbasaur beat the final evolved Smolder. Zyozzy, don't be stunned, study hard. Zyarksha glared at Zyozzy on the side and said, I know, I'm already taking notes. It turns out that it can be used like this, using the Vine Whip to hit the ground, fly up, and then use Sleep Powder and Parasitic Seeds. It's amazing. Zyozzy's eyes lit up, feeling that if he trained like this, his Bulbasaur would be stronger, but he didn't know that using the Vine Whip to hit the ground, to let the Pokémon use the force to jump into the air was originally his best tactic. That's right, don't you look at whose master it is. Meowth said proudly on the side. Zyozzy, brother Zahu is so strong. Are you sure you want to challenge him again? Zyanagang looked at Zyozzy with doubt. In terms of Pokémon strength, Zahu's Ninetales is stronger, and in terms of tactics, Zyozzy has no comparison. The only thing left is attributes, but is it enough to rely on attributes alone? Of course, Charizard is so hard. I can't lose either. No matter how strong the enemy is, we can overwhelm the opponent with our momentum. Zyozzy said. Yes, keep this momentum. This is your biggest advantage. Although you can't go long relying on intuition alone, having a keen intuition can allow you to find more flaws in the opponent in battle. Zahu came out of the center after receiving the qualification badge. Thank you, brother. By the way, brother, are all Bulbasaur suitable for your tactics just now? Zyozzy asked. Yes and no. Zahu shook his head and said, the tactics I used just now are not complicated. As long as Bulbasaur's qualifications are above the passing line, and he knows 3 special skills, Vine Whip, Sleep Powder, and Parasite Seed. And using Vine Whip can usually dodge unexpectedly, making the opponent surprised, and then using this time difference, using Sleep Powder, which is basically a sure hit, and then Parasite Seed is also a sure hit, and naturally wins. It must be said that Sleep Powder and Parasite Seed in reality are also bugs. Sleep Powder is almost a sure hit, there is no dodge, and once hit by Sleep Powder, ordinary Pokémon can't wake up at all. And Parasite Seed is a simple skill in the game, but in the animation, it is comparable to Destruction Ray. Anyway, in general, Pokémon that are hit by this skill will be killed instantly. Zyos's Bulbasaur used Parasite Seed to kill Pokémon such as Furball and Beedrill one after another. When we arrived in the Sinnoh region, the trainer of the EME gym, Nasus, was even more of a monster. Her parasitic seeds of Squirtle could actually be planted on grass-type Pokémon, and absorbed all the physical strength of Zyos's Squirtle at once, winning. So theoretically, first using Sleep Powder, then parasitic seeds, can kill most trainers in seconds. Why is it not true or not? Zyosha asked curiously. Because the premise is Sleep Powder, but Sleep Powder can be resisted. For example, the Storm move, the Burrow move, and the simple flying of flying type Pokémon can break Sleep Powder, and many Pokémon trainers have their own ways to resist, so this move is generally used to abuse and surprise, to catch the opponent off guard. If the opponent is very strong, one trick cannot be used everywhere, so the main thing is to enhance the strength of Pokémon. For example, Zyossi, your Bulbasaur, cultivate his Sunshine Flame well. Zahu said. So tactics are not important, the most important thing is strength. Zyossi said. It's not important, is it? The right tactics can. Zahu was about to give him a good lecture, but he shook his head halfway through. Forget it. When you get to the Quartz conference, and get beaten up, you will understand the importance of tactics. Then brother, let's have another match. Charizard won't accept it. Zyossi said. You want to be beaten again, right? Okay, I'll fulfill your wish. Zahu said, and took Zyossi to the open space yesterday, releasing Ninetales and Charizard at the same time. Charizard looked at Ninetales, the enemy that froze it into a lump of ice yesterday, and suddenly the enemies met, and were extremely jealous, and a blazing flame burned in his eyes. Charizard, don't worry, we will definitely win. Zyossi patted Charizard's thigh and said. Charizard nodded. Yesterday's weakness made him recall some things that he almost forgot, and he recognized Zyossi again. Next, let's duel. Charizard, use Jet Flame. Charizard obeyed the command, flew high, and sprayed a strong flame from its mouth. Ninetales, use Magic Flash. Zahu still used the old routine. Ninetales opened all 9 tails, and sprayed out colorful light, and they were about to collide head-on like yesterday. Zyossi gave another order at this time. Charizard spins to dodge, go around Ninetales from behind and attack. Charizard received the order, turned sideways in midair, dodged the magic flash, and in an instant killed Ninetales behind, spraying a flame from the front. Zahu smiled slightly. Are you learning my flying skills? It is worthy of being the material of a flying master, but it is not enough to win my Ninetales in this way. He smiled and said, lightning flash, run forward to dodge. Ninetales suddenly turned into a white light, quickly ran ahead, and successfully avoided the flame spray by Charizard. Charizard, seize the opportunity, dive directly, and use Earth Throw. Charizard swooped down quickly, and grabbed Ninetales with lightning speed. Ninetales, use Iron Tail backwards. Zahu's eyes were sharp. Want to use Earth Throw? Don't think too much, don't even think about it. Ninetales leaned forward with both legs, then jumped up with its back half, and its 9 long tails flashed white light, hitting Charizard's head without reservation. Charizard was in pain, was hit and flew backwards, and fell heavily to the ground. Charizard, come on, use the flame vortex on Ninetales. Zyossi shouted vigorously. Charizard felt Zyos's persistence, stood up firmly, and sprayed a large ball of flames, about to wrap Ninetales. Hold on. Facing the powerful flames of the fire spray, Zahu's expression remained calm, and he simply spit out 2 words, and Ninetales took the flame vortex of Charizard. When Zyozzy and Zehu fight, the winning rate is really low. It's not just the problem of the level of the trainer and the level of the Pokémon, but also the problem of each other's intelligence. Zyozzy doesn't know Zehu's Pokémon very well, but Zehu knows Zyozzy's Pokémon very well, especially this Charizard. Again, a fire-type artifact Pokémon, that is not a flying-type Pokémon, can't use the fighting-type tricks well. Charizard's strongest move is Earth Throw. Whenever it encounters a strong enemy, it almost always uses this move to solve the problem. For example, Zybo's Charmander, the frog that froze Charizard in the animation, Zyomau's Blastoise, and the battle in which Charizard became a god, used Earth Throw to cripple Articuno. If this move is blocked, Charizard's strength will be greatly reduced, and it will be very difficult to fight, or even fail. For example, Dragonite of the Orange Islands and Yu's Flame Chicken successfully resolved Earth Throw and successfully defeated Charizard. As for the Night Giant of the Age of Gods, it goes without saying that it easily defeated Charizard by taking advantage of the fact that the ghost system is immune to fighting system skills. Ninetales used Destruction Death Beam. Zehu issued the final order. The light burst out of Ninetales' mouth and hit Charizard accurately. Charizard fell down under the force and completely lost its combat effectiveness. Did you still lose? Zyozzy looked at Charizard apologetically, but Charizard did not blame Zyozzy. Today's fight was much better than yesterday. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, Take the Fire-Breathing Dragon. Zyozzy, you and Charizard have grown a lot, but there is still a long way to go before you can become a true master. You need to walk together. Zehu walked to Charizard and sprayed the special medicine potion. Well, brother, I will work hard with Charizard and will definitely catch up with you and Ninetales. Zyozzy said. If you want to catch up with me, you have to let me check your Charizard first. I wanted to do it yesterday, but he was injured and didn't have time to diagnose. Zehu gave Meow Meow a look, and Meow Meow immediately took out a complete set of professional Pokémon testing instruments from the compression backpack on the side. Zehu took these tools and did a detailed data analysis for Zyozzy's Charizard. After a lot of complicated procedures that Zyozzy and others couldn't understand at all, a big B appeared on the computer screen on the side. Sure enough, it's almost what I thought. Zehu nodded thoughtfully. What do you mean by almost? Brother, what does this B mean? Zyozzy asked curiously. This is a set of standards for evaluating Pokémon that I invented myself. Your Charizard's development is only B. Zehu said. Only B. Isn't my Charizard strong enough? Zyozzy said. Although he didn't know what Zehu's evaluation criteria were, there was at least an A above B. From the data in your body, your Charizard has an A in physical strength without considering personal comprehension and perseverance, but its development is really not good. I guess it can't even carry you to the sky now. Was the flame of its tail so weak that it almost went out, and it was forced to evolve not long after evolving into Charmeleon? Zehu said. Yes, Charizard was deceived and abandoned in a place by an irresponsible trainer at the beginning, and then the flame was almost extinguished by the rain. Then in Dasher Valley, in order to duel with the Pteranodon, it evolved into Charizard and grew wings. Zyozzy said. It is true. When Charmander was born, it had a minor hidden injury on its body that needed to be treated. However, because of your carelessness, it was not taken care of properly. It could have recovered after evolving into Charmeleon, but it evolved again not long after evolving into Charmeleon. In addition, during this time, it has been following you all the time, thinking that it is invincible, resulting in no increase in strength, but a little bit of weakness inside. Zehu said. He understood why Zyozzy was beaten up in various ways when he arrived at the Charizard Valley. It was because of the stunted development caused by the many disasters in the early stage. Is there any way to recover? When Zyozzy heard that Charizard had a problem, he was extremely anxious, and he was more anxious than he was when he was sick. Of course there is. As long as it is not a terminal illness that can kill people, there is always a way to treat it. I'm a professional doctor. Zahu smiled confidently. It's just that this treatment will take a long time, and I can't always be with you. Then Charizard will stay with you for a while. Zyozzy said. That's fine, I still have a vacant spot anyway. But in this case, not counting the GP, Zyozzy, you only have 5 Pokémon left, right? Zahu said. Yes. Zyozzy said. Then use the giant crab you left at the teacher's house instead, so that the giant crab will only recognize the teacher, and not you as the master. Zahu said. Yes, I still have the giant crab. Zyozzy said after realizing it. Zahu rolled his eyes helplessly. Sure enough, you forgot it. Fortunately, the giant crab didn't despise you. When you challenged the Quartz Conference in the future, it won the first victory of the league competition for you by fighting 3 against 1. Although your giant crab is not very big, it has good potential. Train it well, and don't lose to Zyomeo's one, understand? Zahu said. Although Zyos's giant crab has a low presence, it is extremely powerful. In the Quartz Conference, the first league match, it first defeated the coconut egg tree, evolved into a giant crab, and then defeated the sea thorn dragon and the big mouth bat in a row. Johto, Whirlpool Islands, a crab punch created at Tsunami Whirlpool. Among Zyos's early Pokémon, it is definitely one of the best. But Zyosy just didn't practice it much. Really, Zahu even suspected that the food at his teacher's house was too good, which made the giant crab so powerful. I will. When Zyosy heard Zyomeo, he was like a chicken blood and immediately thought about going back to train the giant crab. You said well. Next, you have to challenge the Red Lotus Gym, which is a gym for fire Pokémon. If you use it well, there may be unexpected results. If you can't beat it, ask me to take back the Charizard. Zahu said. No, brother, I will let you know my strength. Zyosy affirmed. Are you sure? Apart from the uncertainty of Nance's superpowers, Zybo, the gym trainer of the Red Lotus Gym, is the strongest gym trainer in Kanto. Zahu said with a smile. Originally, Sakaki and Akari could compete for this title, but now Tokiwa has closed down, and Sakaki doesn't know where he is. As for Akari, he has already stepped down, and is expected to become the Poison King of Johto next year. Then I must win, and prove my strength. Zyosy said. Okay, I look forward to your performance. In this case, I will leave when Kajero comes out. Speaking of which, I have already got the ticket to the Quartz Conference, but you haven't yet. I'll wait for you. Zahu said. Brother, I will catch up with you. Zyosy said. Waiting for you. And Zyaksha, what about you? Zahu said. As for me, I only have 2 badges now, but I also plan to take the Pokémon certification exam. If I succeed, I won't have to go to the gym. Zyaksha said. After several challenges, she felt that she was still too immature. She didn't dare to fight in the electric gym like the Withered Leaf gym. Okay, I wish you success. Take good care of yourself, and take good care of Zyosy for me. If you want to be my brother's sister one day, I will give you a red envelope. Zahu smiled playfully, and after that, he took Meowth and went to the direction of Kajero's examination room. Brother-in-law? Zyosy looked silly. What's going on? My brother doesn't have other brothers, right? Zyanagang turned his head and looked at Zyosy and Zyaksha. They travel together every day, right? Are they together? I don't know. Impossible. The signs of love will never escape Zyanagang's eyes. Zyaksha's face rarely showed a blush, and I don't know if it was shyness or anger. Pikachu looked at the group of people with a silly face. What happened? Why didn't everyone talk? The last temporary member, Archer, said that he didn't understand these situations either. After thinking for a while, he raised his camera and took a photo of the cute Pikachu. I'm just an ordinary person. I just take my own photos. Chapter 70. Remarks on the release. The content is as above. It is available at about 12 o'clock today, so the update will be left until noon. I didn't expect it to be so fast, but it is always a good thing to be available. I would like to thank the editor Zengun. To be honest, I didn't expect this book to do so well. The original intention of writing this book was to review Pokémon during the summer vacation, and then I read too much. I wrote this book on impulse. I didn't expect that everyone liked it. I feel very accomplished to get everyone's support. Let's get back to the point. I'm very happy to be available, but it may not be for many readers, because it means that the book will be charged, and a wave of people will definitely leave. I don't say any extra nonsense. Those who have a good habit of subscribing will still subscribe, and those who are used to watching pirated copies, even if I say a lot, they will still read it. Those with bad personalities may even say that I am crying poor, disgusting, etc. I only said 5 words, please subscribe. At least the first subscription is better. Finally, regarding the update after the release, tomorrow is the first day of the release, and there will be 5 updates. If there are many subscriptions, more will be added depending on the situation. Normally, there will be 3 updates. Chapter 71 Battle Palace. Challenger, are you ready for your Pokémon? At the Battle Palace, the pioneer leader, Old Man Yukang, looked at ZHIHUI and said, after a sea voyage, ZHIHUI's trio, who had separated from Zyro ZHI and the other 2, finally arrived at the Battle Palace, the 5th battle facility. Ready, Mr. Yukang, are you going to start now? ZHIHUI looked at Old Man Yukang and said, although he was very old, his mentality and body were more like those of a young man. If he had not had extraordinary experience, he would probably think he was a kind of old naughty boy. Of course, but the venue is not here. How about we go to the jungle to fight? Mr. Yukang said. Okay. ZHIHUI said indifferently. He could accept fighting anywhere. That's good. Yukang walked to the forest and released a Cunning Tengu. Cunning Tengu, a grass type and evil type Pokémon. ZHIHUI looked at Yukang's Cunning Tengu and showed an inexplicable smile on his face. The prototype of this Pokémon seemed to be a mythical figure. In short, it was a dog, but it didn't look like a dog at all, and it walked on 2 feet. In that case, I'll use Fairy Elf. Zahu said. Fairy Elf appeared elegantly in the venue, exuding amazing charm in the sun. It must be said that most fairy type Pokémon are elegant and beautiful. It's no wonder why someone would use fairy attributes to mature fairy type Pokémon. The latest evolution of EV. A new Pokémon. Yukang's eyes showed interest. Yes, Fairy Elf, use Fairy Wind. Zahu said. Cunning Tengu, get out of the way and run into the jungle. Old Man Yukang ordered. Cunning Tengu heard this and immediately ran into the jungle on one side. Zahu showed a helpless expression. Cunning Tengu is a grass type Pokémon and has lived nearby all year round. Fighting in the jungle must be more suitable for Cunning Tengu. This is what Mr. Yukang intended. Fairy Elf, chase after it. Zahu gave orders while he and Old Man Yukang ran into the jungle together, following the pace of the 2 Pokémon, running and giving orders. Fairy Elf, use Lightning Flash. Zahu's voice came from afar. Cunning Tengu, let's use Lightning Flash as well. Although Yukang was older, he ran just as fast as Zahu and gave the same order. Fairy Elf and Cunning Tengu increased their speed at the same time and rammed into each other with force, and then the 2 Pokémon fell back at the same time with equal fighting power. Fairy Elf, use Magic Flash. Zahu said, fighting power is equal, then use special attack. The colorful light condensed in the mouth of Fairy Elf, and powerful power burst out towards Cunning Tengu. Mr. Yukang's order came immediately. Shadow Clone. Cunning Tengu immediately transformed into dozens of clones. Fairy Elf's magic flash only passed through one clone, and the real Cunning Tengu was hidden among the many clones. Fairy Elf, use Fairy Wind to attack all Cunning Tengu. Zahu said. The Fairy Elf's hair was spinning like a knot, and a strange wind blew towards all the Cunning Tengu. The Cunning Tengu's clones immediately collapsed, but still failed to attack the real Cunning Tengu. Zahu's face suddenly changed, and then he saw the sky darken, and the Cunning Tengu jumped out from nowhere and headed straight for the Fairy Elf. Cunning Tengu, Shadow Ball. A purple-black energy ball condensed in the hand of the Cunning Tengu, just hitting the Fairy Elf. The Fairy Elf let out a sad cry and showed a tired expression. Fairy Elf, don't be discouraged. Continue to use Lightning Flash to close the distance. Zahu said. The Fairy Elf's eyes rolled around, and his body moved faster, approaching the Cunning Tengu again. Cunning Tengu, use Shadow Clone again. The Cunning Tengu split into countless clones again, and Zahu still issued the previous order, using the fairy wine to sweep away all the clones, but the result was the same as before, and the cunning Tengu's clones were not swept away. Zahu looked up at the sky, but he did not see the cunning Tengu he imagined. Instead, a dark shadow came out from the underground jungle. Cunning Tengu, use lightning flash. Cunning Tengu used the bounce of the branches to quickly jump up, and with the speed of lightning flash, he accurately hit the fairy elf, causing more damage to the fairy elf. Don't think that I can only attack from one direction, and not attack with a fixed routine to win. Old man Yu Kang smiled. I underestimated you, but as long as you attack, it makes no difference. Zahu suddenly showed a sinister smile on his face. Fairy elf, cheer up, hold on to cunning Tengu, and use destructive death light. The fairy elf showed a firm look in her eyes, holding on to cunning Tengu's body, with golden light flashing in her mouth. Not good, cunning Tengu, quickly get rid of the fairy elf. Old man Yu Kang said with a change of expression. The cunning Tengu twisted his body frantically, trying to shake off the fairy spirit, but the fairy spirit was completely entangled with him, and even the ribbons on his body automatically tied the cunning Tengu's body tightly, and then hit the cunning Tengu with a close-range destruction beam, and the two Pokémon fell to the ground together. The fairy spirit stepped on the body of the cunning Tengu and fell down, so it was not seriously injured. It jumped easily and showed the joy of victory to Zahu, while the cunning Tengu turned into a circled eye and completely lost its combat effectiveness. Excellent technique, deliberately leading me to attack, using the destruction beam at the cost of enduring a flash of lightning. Yu Kang praised, took back the cunning Tengu, and then said, next is him, my partner, Venusaur. Vulps. Zahu's face changed slightly. The final evolution of Bulbasaur can almost be regarded as the strongest grass-type Pokémon in Kanto. Fairy Spirit, come back. Next is Ninetale. Zahu took back the Fairy Spirit and threw out the Ninetale. You don't want to continue fighting with the Fairy Pokémon, but use Ninetales. Are you planning to use Attribute Restraint? My Venusaur is not that easy to deal with. Yu Kang said. I trust my Ninetales more, and I think even in a one-on-one situation like this, my Pokémon will not be weaker than others. Ninetales, use snowflakes. Zahu said. Ninetales opened its mouth and large snowflakes attacked Venusaur. Vulps, use Leaf Blade. Yu Kang said. Venusaur stood still, and large leaves spun around, to attack with Super Ninetales. The two forces of Leaf Blade and snowflakes collided and cancelled each other out. Ninetales, Lightning Flash. Yu Kang's preparation was within Zahu's expectations. The final evolutions of the three major Kanto Pokémons, except for Charizard, which still has agile speed, the rest, whether Venusaur or Blastoise, are bulky and cannot move quickly, so they can only be countered with high output. Similarly, facing the Ninetales attack this time, Yu Kang also did not instruct Bulbasaur on how to dodge, but said, Bulbasaur, use the Vine Whip. Bulbasaur shouted, and at the same time, 8 tough brown vine whips burst out, overwhelming the Ninetale. The Ninetale moved quickly, dodging all the vines like a white light, and hit Bulbasaur hard. Bulbasaur was frustrated and showed a painful expression. Yu Kang's face was serious and said, Bulbasaur, hit back. Bulbasaur exerted force on all 4 legs and hit back fiercely. The Ninetale was hit, and flew several meters away. A painful expression appeared on his face. Bulbasaur used speed in exchange for his extraordinary strength. Bulbasaur uses Sun Flame, and the last move determines the outcome. Yu Kang said, Ninetale, stabilize your body, and use the freezing ray quickly. Zahu said hurriedly. It was not a sunny day, and Sun Flame needed a certain amount of time to prepare, and during this time Bulbasaur was almost unable to move. Nine-tailed fox called out, and a ball of ice quickly condensed in its mouth, and shot out violently, freezing Bulbasaur into an ice cube. It seems that I won this game again. Zahu laughed. Blindly judging the result is a taboo. Bulbasaur, show him our power, the sun and fire. Yu Kang said. Zahu's face suddenly changed, and he saw the frozen Bulbasaur, and the blooming flowers were still gathering light. Then a pillar of light suddenly burst out, breaking through the ice, and attacking Nine-tailed Fox again. Nine-tailed Fox, you Scientail on the ground quickly. Zahu gave an order anxiously. Nine-tailed Fox stretched out its 9 snow-white tails, flashing silver white light, and violently hit the ground. The hole took advantage of the situation to fly into the sky, avoiding Bulbasaur's fatal blow. Nine-tailed fox, use magic flash in the sky, and then ride on Bulbasaur. After dodging the attack, Zahu secretly rejoiced and gave another urgent order. Colorful light emanated from the nine-tailed fox's body, and it turned into a meteor that rode on Venusaur, completely depriving Venusaur of its combat effectiveness. Chapter 72 Utilization of the Environment. Toshiki has become stronger after defeating Yukang's 2 Pokémon in a row. Yashida sighed as he watched from the side. This is the level of the boss. He will definitely win this game. Kajiro said. That's not necessarily true. The Pokémon that Yukang has left are not that simple, especially when the surrounding environment can be used. Yashida said. The boss must be the winner in the end. The 2 Pokémon in the boss's hand are invincible. Kajiro said confidently. Articuno and Giant Gyarados? That's right. It's just right to see how Toshiki's Pokémon performs. Yashida said. Yukang took back Venusaur and suddenly said to Toshiki, do you know? There are all kinds of energy in the Earth's nature. If you can comprehend and use this power, the power of Pokémon will also increase greatly and even determine the victory of Pokémon duels. So, Mr. Yukang, are you going to use these natural powers next? Toshiki said. That's right. Come out, Psychic Doll. Mr. Yukang threw out his last Pokémon and said, this kid is best at using the energy from nature. The previous 2 Pokémon were both fairy type, so next, I'll use it. Togekiss. Zahu threw out Togekiss's Pokéball, and Togekiss soared into the wind, still very elegant. Zahu, next, you won't be able to win easily anymore. Yukang said, I couldn't ask for it more. Zahu smiled and said, Togekiss slash. Togekiss swooped down quickly, flapped its wings, and 2 air blades appeared, attacking the Psychic Doll fiercely. Psychic Doll, teleport, and then spin at high speed. Yukang said. A strange light flashed on the Psychic Doll, and Togekiss swooped down but only missed, while the Psychic Doll had already appeared behind it, and spun at high speed, knocking Togekiss away. Pockets, rise quickly and keep your body steady. Zahu frowned. Sure enough, the psychic type is the most disgusting. Telekinetic Clay Doll, now is the time. Yukang took advantage of the victory and pursued. The telekinetic Clay Doll's body, which was originally rotating, immediately accelerated its rotation speed, raising the dust of the entire venue, erupting a tornado of sand and dust, trapping Togekiss inside, and Togekiss couldn't break free for a while. Zahu frowned even more. Damn, high-speed rotation is definitely the most powerful trick developed in reality. It was originally only a power of 20, mainly used to clear the field tricks such as scattering and invisible rocks, but when used by everyone, it can burst out amazing power. Like Zyagang's later Foritus, everything can rotate, attack rotation, defense rotation, digging hole rotation, there is nothing that can't be solved by rotation. Telekinetic Clay Doll, use the destruction death light. Yukang said. Pockets, quickly use it to hold on. Zahu said anxiously. Pockets in the storm received the order, and a large yellow barrier immediately appeared on his body. The destructive death ray of the telekinetic Clay Doll came fiercely, but it finally hit the yellow barrier without any effect. Instead, Pockets was pushed out of the sandstorm with this force. It's my turn next. Zahu secretly breathed a sigh of relief. If Pockets hadn't been able to defend, he would have been almost killed by the telekinetic Clay Doll series of combined moves. However, it was time for him to show his ability next. If he used the destructive death ray, his body would be stiff for a short time, and naturally he would not be able to use teleportation. Pockets, use Brave Bird attack. Zahu said. Pockets folded his wings, and a crystal light appeared on his body, and quickly hit the telekinetic Clay Doll. The telekinetic Clay Doll was knocked over, and stopped when it hit a big tree. Telekinetic Clay Doll, use Phantom Light on Pockets. Yukang said. The telekinetic Clay Doll barely stopped its body, and a strange and colorful light burst out of its body, shooting straight at Togekiss in the sky. Togekiss, don't resist, fly up, and then use the wave missile. Zahu said. Togekiss took off into the wind, dodging the illusion light of the telekinetic Clay Doll, and then condensed a wave missile on his chest, aiming at the telekinetic Clay Doll and attacking. Telekinetic Clay Doll, teleport, and then rotate at high speed. Kang said. The telekinetic clay doll suddenly disappeared, perfectly dodging the wave missile, and then approached Togekiss, and then raised a sandstorm. Togekiss uses magic flash, then merges with the light, and then rotates into the center of the tornado. Zahu roared. Togekiss's wings vibrated, and a solemn expression appeared in his eyes. Then he fearlessly rushed into the sandstorm, rotated sideways, followed the rotation trajectory of the sandstorm, and mixed the power of rotation and magic flash to accurately hit the telekinetic clay doll that was rotating at high speed. With one blow, the telekinetic clay doll was hit head-on, and fell to the ground, completely losing its combat power. Pocket stood proudly in place, with its wings spread, singing loudly, showing its glory and brilliance as a winner. You dared to jump directly into the sand and dust. You are bolder than I thought. I always thought you were a rational person. Kang looked at Zhihui and said, I like to play tactics, but tactics often limit myself. If you want to win, you have to be more bold, otherwise you will be very passive. Besides, it's not particularly risky. Pocket is best at dancing, which includes such a spin, so it's not bad for him. Zhihui said. You gave me a wonderful game. This is a symbol of spirit and proof of defeating me. Kang handed Zhihui a mark and said, Thank you, Mr. Kang. I will keep working hard, and next, I will go to the battle tower to challenge. Zhihui said. The pioneer leader of the battle tower is Battle Lord Lilla, who has the ability to communicate with Pokémon heart to heart. She is very powerful and not easy to deal with. If you don't have the ability to transform the bond into combat power, it will be difficult to defeat her. Kang said. It is because of the difficulty that I want to try. As long as the power is not suppressed to the point of despair, with tactics and Pokémon's command, I dare to challenge even some champions. Zahu said confidently. What amazing confidence. I look forward to you dominating the battle frontier, so that my loss will also be valuable. Kang said. I will not disappoint you, sir. Zahu smiled. Ashida on the side looked thoughtful, and he felt more and more that Zahu could really dominate the battle frontier. Although the 5 battles were a bit thrilling, they were all safe, especially Articuno and Giant Gyarados, each of which only appeared once. Can the Age of Gods Regirock stop his Articuno and Giant Gyarados? Thanks, sweet coffee, and JW's reward. One more chapter. Chapter 73 Shinji. After the duel in the Battle Palace, Zahu and his team set out on a journey. One day, the 3 of them walked into a valley and suddenly found a bunch of people holding tools, digging here and there, as if they were looking for treasure. Meow, what are these people doing? Kajiro asked. The map says that this place seems to be called Dachi Valley, and there are Pokémon fossils, so many people come here to dig Pokémon fossils. Meow replied. Dachi Valley? I know that there are many Pokémon fossils in Dachi Valley, but I didn't expect there is a Dachi Valley here. Dachi, who gave these names? Do you want to say that these fossil Pokémon are all idiots? Zahu shrugged boredly. It's possible. After all, not everyone is as smart as Meow. Meow said proudly. Don't come on, you're just bragging. Zahu said disdainfully. Boss, should we also get involved? If we can dig up Pokémon fossils, we can also sell them for a lot of money. Kajiro said. Kajiro, you said you are the richest man among the 3 of us. Why do you act like someone is abusing you all the time? So many people are digging for Pokémon fossils, and I guess, even if they haven't been dug up, 80% or 90% have been dug up. If you want to dig out the remaining 10% or 20%, you have to rely on luck. I didn't bring Xylzy to add buffs, so forget it, so as not to waste time. Zahu said. There will always be a chance. I think we are lucky too. Meow didn't believe it. Okay, in this case, you make an excavator, and we will drill into the ground and see. Zahu said indifferently. Okay, boss, give me 3 hours, and I will make you a drill. Meow said confidently. Zahu shook his head and let the 2 people do it. To be honest, he was not very interested in fossil Pokémon. If he was, before he became a doctor, he would probably be very interested, because he could get rich overnight, but now that he has become a doctor, 1 or 2 fossils can't bring much change to his life, just icing on the cake. As for the strength, To be honest, Zahu thinks that these fossil Pokémon are really not that good. Except for the fossil pterosaur, which has good combat power. The spiny ammonite and sickle helmet are average. When Kajero and Meowth talk about making money, they are radiant. Now they are immersed in the joy of making machines. Zahu has really made no achievements in machinery, so he went to a small stall on the side and bought a bottle of milk tea. It must be said that the discovery of Pokémon fossils in the Great Kai Valley has a significant stimulating effect on the surrounding economy. Small shops like these that provide beverages have opened one after another. Excuse me, can I sit in this seat? While Zahu was drinking his drink, a childish voice sounded. Zahu looked up and found a boy about the same age as Zyozzy standing in front of him with a small tree turtle with a grass seedling on his shoulder. It's okay, sit down. Zahu smiled gently. Is the Pokémon on your shoulder your original Pokémon? Yes, he is my best friend, the grass seedling turtle. The boy smiled confidently. Sinnoh starter Pokémon are the Pokémon for novice trainers. So you are from Sinnoh. Why did you come to Kanto alone? Zahu asked curiously. Because my brother is challenging the battle frontier here, so I came here to cheer for my brother. I believe my brother will succeed in dominating the battle frontier. The boy said. Brother? Challenging the battle frontier? Isn't that the same as me? What's your brother's name? Zahu smiled. My brother's name is Lacey. The boy answered proudly. Lacey. Zahu was surprised and almost choked. He looked at the sunny boy in front of him with surprise. If I remember correctly, Lacey has only one brother, Shinji. Then the boy in front of him is Shinji, Zyoz's biggest rival in Sinnoh. Zahu looked up and down at the boy in front of him. After thinking for a long time, he still couldn't confuse the man in front of him with the meticulous and even cold-blooded Shinji in his impression. Is this time really a butcher's knife? Trained Shinji to be like this? Zahu showed a thoughtful expression, vaguely recalling something. It seemed that at the beginning, Shinji was also an optimistic and good boy, and he madly worshipped his brother. So when he first got the Pokémon, he did not challenge the Sinnoh League, but came to Kanto to find his brother first. As a result, he saw his idolized brother being defeated by Kamishiro, and he was also beaten into autism. He was beaten so hard that he stopped being a trainer, and then he was depressed, and then twisted in silence. In the end, it was Kamishiro who taught him how to be a man. After suppressing himself, his personality gradually improved. Do you know my brother? Shinji looked at Zahu and said. He was not stupid. From Zahu's performance, he could tell at a glance that he knew his brother. Yes, my name is Zahu, and I have competed with your brother. Zahu said. You are Zahu, Zyoz's brother. Shinji said. Huh, you know Zyos? Zahu's eyes widened. It seems that the changes in his butterfly are quite big. Shinji and Zyos knew each other several plots in advance. Yeah, he traveled with my brother for a while, so of course I know him. I also made an appointment with him. This year I will come to Kanto to challenge the league, and then we will have a showdown at the Quartz conference. Shinji said excitedly. You and Satoshi? Zahu had a strange expression. When Shinji and Satoshi were in Sinnoh, their strengths were equally matched. One had good tactics and the other had a high bond. It was possible for either to win. But now if Shinji and Satoshi were to fight 6-6, he would die without knowing how he died. What is Shinji's strongest Pokémon? The Squirtle on his shoulder, that has not evolved yet, the future tortoise. And Satoshi, needless to say, is Charizard. Tortoise vs. Charizard. It's not that Zahu wants to pour cold water on Shinji, but you, a grass plus ground Pokémon, want to fight a fire plus flying Pokémon. Really don't make it so difficult for yourself, okay? Why? Although Zyozzy started traveling earlier than me, his tactics are weak. I can definitely beat him. A few days ago, I had a match with him, Squirtle and Pikachu. Although it was a draw, I only got Squirtle for a month, while he has had it for several months. Shinji said dissatisfiedly. You are better than him in tactics, but in Pokémon Duel, Pokémon is more important. If you want to beat Zyozzy, catch an electric monster, and evolve it into an electric monster. This is still possible, but if you use Squirtle, it is impossible. Zahu said. Facts speak louder than words. You will know after the fight. Shinji said. Okay, by the way, are you going to find your brother now? or come with me. I also want to challenge the battle frontier, and I will always meet your brother. Zahu said. Thank you, brother Zahu. Shinji said. Okay, by the way, are you interested in going underground? Zahu smiled. Chapter 74 Daigo. Meow meow, who can speak human language and make machines? Brother Zahu, being with you is really different. Sitting in the drill made by Meow Meow, Shinji looked around excitedly. Before he met Meow Meow, he really didn't think that there would be a Pokémon that could talk. So traveling can help you see more different things. If you stay at home and work behind closed doors, you will grow slower than people. Zahu said. Brother Zahu, can we really find fossil Pokémon here? It depends on luck. I'm not sure if there are any. Zahu said. But I really want to know the fossil Pokémon in Kanto. The fossil Pokémon in our Sinnoh region are Warhammer Dragon and Castle Dragon. And what are these? Shinji asked. 3 spiny ammonites, sickle helmets, and fossil pterosaurs, which are not bad for you. Zahu said. Boss, there seems to be a hole in front. We might really find something amazing. Kajiro said excitedly, driving the excavator, drilling through a layer of soil, and reaching an empty underground world. Kajiro turned on the headlights, and saw the underground world in front of him. There were stone pillars growing one after another, and some red lights flashing in the darkness. Are these fossil helmets? Shinji took out the Pokémon encyclopedia curiously. Fossil helmets, ancient Pokémon, occasionally discovered as living fossils. Yes, it's a pity that they are all fossils, not Pokémon, otherwise you could catch one. Zahu said. But fossils are more valuable. Kajiro said excitedly. Wait, there seems to be someone else here. Meow Meow suddenly called. Anyone else? Zahu looked over with a strange look on his face and asked Kajiro to turn on the headlights more. Sure enough, he found that there was a group of people next to him who were studying fossils with professional tools. Someone got there first, so we can't take them and exchange them for money? Kajiro became listless after seeing that there were people clearly. Yes, so be honest. Zahu smiled. Brother Zahu, someone is coming. Is he coming to negotiate with us? Shinji said. Negotiation? Zahu looked up and saw a young man with silver blue hair walking towards them gracefully. His expression suddenly became strange. It seems that he is lucky today. He came to dig fossils and met a big boss. Zahu walked out of the drill and looked at the young man with a playful look on his face and said, hello, champion, long time no see. Zahu, it's you. I thought someone would drive a drill here. The young man laughed. Champion? Brother Zahu, he is the champion of your Kanto. Shinji looked at the young man with admiration. The champion is the highest honor for a trainer and the goal that every trainer pursues throughout his life. And now, there is such a living champion standing in front of him? Sure enough, you can see more things when you travel. No, although he is a champion, he is not the champion of Kanto. Let me introduce him formally, the champion of Hone, the young master of Devon Manufacturing Co. Limited, Zifuchi Daigo. Zahu said. The champion of Hone. Shinji nodded suddenly. He clearly remembered that he had made a strategy. There has never been a champion in Kanto. Is this your brother? Daigo said with a smile. His family were all crazy fans of Pokémon, and Zahu was good at talking about this, so he once asked Devon Manufacturing Company to help him for a month. So he had a good relationship with Zahu, and knew that Zahu had a brother. No, his name is Shinji, and he is one of my juniors. Zahu said. So that's how it is, but you are not doing research in Pallet Town. How come you came out? Daigo asked curiously. Because I want to travel this year. I have passed the Pokémon certification exam, obtained the ticket to the Quartz conference, and have already challenged 5 battle frontiers. On the contrary, you are great champion. Why don't you stay in Hone and come to our Kanto? Zahu said. Come here to dig stones. Daigo said as a matter of course. I heard that there are a lot of fossil Pokémon here, so I came here to dig and try to revive these fossil Pokémon. Okay. Reviving fossil Pokémon was originally the first thing your Devon Manufacturing Company researched. Zahu said with a slight twitch of his mouth. Although he said so, your Devon Manufacturing Company is not without people. Why do you want to come as a champion? It's not that you, the champion, want to come. especially according to the original plot. This guy gave the championship position to his friend Mikali in order to dig stones better. Yes, watching these strange stones being dug out one by one and seeing the light of day again, I feel very happy in my heart. Dago said, okay, you are here, so I won't compete with you for business. After I challenge Kanto Chengdu, I will go to Hone. By then, maybe I will be crazy and challenge your championship position. Zahu said, if you want my championship, then I will give it to you now. If there is no one to take it, I would have wanted to step down a long time ago. Dago said indifferently. Shinji looked at Dago, who didn't want to be the champion at all, and his expression was completely confused. Are you kidding me? Everyone is vying for it, and you just don't care about something you can't get. Is it really that my thinking is too slow and I can't keep up with the pace of the times? When they got on the drilling machine, Zahu found that Shinji was still in a daze and smiled and said, what's wrong? You are shocked to see the champion for the first time. No, brother Zahu, in the past, my impression was that the champion was the strongest person in a region. They were calm and wise and proficient in Pokémon battles, but after seeing Dago, I don't think it's like that. Do all champions take the championship as seriously as Dago? Instead, they take it as a hobby? Shinji asked. Your question is very meaningful. First of all, the champion is the strongest person in a region. This is true. The champion is indeed very strong. The Dago you saw just now, although he looked like he wanted to dig stones, his Metagross can be compared with your Shenao Takran's Garchomp. Secondly, although not all champions dislike the champion like Dago, the champions of each region are indeed a bit special. Zahu said. How special is it? Shinji was ready to get to the bottom of it. Let me list them for you. There is no champion in Kanto. The champion of Johto, Watari, doesn't have any obvious special hobbies, but he is the king of Kanto and the champion of Johto. He is very busy, and he also works as a Pokémon investigator and often goes to Hone for a stroll. The champion of Hone, Dago, I already know him. Like his father, he is obsessed with stones. Everything is centered around stones. This is almost a characteristic of the Tsuki family. The champion of SYNOPSIS, Takran, in addition to being a champion, is also an outstanding Pokémon historian. He studies history with her grandmother. The Unova region, Adek, is a man who is almost practicing Buddhism. He doesn't care about anything. He may even sleep during battles. Even his Pokémon sometimes dislike him. The Kalos region, Kiruna, needless to say, the superstar of the Kalos region. It seems that being a champion is really a side job. Zahu said. Shinji tilted his head and thought, there are 5 champions in total, 2 have side jobs, 2 regard championship as a side job, and the last one does not regard championship as a championship. Does it mean that to become a champion, one must first have a side job that can be shown off? Chapter 75 Battle Tower. We are about to reach the Battle Tower. Brother Zahu, do you think I will meet my brother? Shinji asked. I don't know if you ask me this question, but we can ask him when we get there. If not, we can meet him at the last battle facility, the Battle Pyramid. Zahu said. Oh. Shinji nodded. I have to say that Shinji is really cute now. Zahu smiled and walked into the Battle Tower to meet the 6th pioneer Lila. Challenger, have you prepared your Pokémon? Lila said to Zahu. Of course I have prepared it a long time ago. Miss Lila, please go first. Zahu smiled. Okay, my first Pokémon Alakazam will appear. Lila threw Alakazam and said. Alakazam? Zahu raised his eyebrows slightly, showing an expected expression. He had done a good job of research before coming here. The Battle Lord, Lila, is good at using psychic Pokémon. Among the local Pokémon in Kanto, except for Mewtwo and Mew, Alakazam is basically the strongest in terms of psychic power. It's been a while since we let them out to play. In that case, this game, Gyarados, is yours. Zahu said as he threw out Gyarados. Roar. As soon as Gyarados appeared on the field, it immediately let out a fierce roar, and its ferocious face immediately scared Alakazam on the opposite side. Alakazam. Lila felt the fear in Alakazam's heart and immediately comforted him in her heart. Alakazam felt the energy in Lila's heart and calmed down a little, but when he saw the Gyarados, which was many times bigger than him, he was filled with fear. He had been through many battles with Lilla and had fought countless Gyarados, but this one was too terrifying. How did you breed this Gyarados? How did it grow so big? Not to mention Alakazam was shocked. Even Lilla, the pioneer leader, couldn't help asking. You know, it is very rude to ask about the privacy of the trainer's training of Pokémon. Because it is gifted, I raised it for 5 years, when it was just a Magikarp. Zahu said. I've been raising Magikarp for 5 years. Lilla was surprised. The process of Magikarp evolving into Gyarados is still a mystery, and after evolving, it may not listen to the trainer, so most trainers directly subdue Gyarados. It is very rare to find such trainers who cultivate Magikarp. But even so, don't think you can easily beat me like this. Lilla suppressed her shock and showed a firm expression. As an elite trainer like the Pioneer Master, her fighting will is undoubtedly very firm. Alakazam, use Illusion Light. According to the rules of the battle, the challenger should attack first, and the Pioneer Master should attack later, but because the giant Gyarados is too strong, Lilla subconsciously took the initiative herself. Gyarados, take it head on, and then pray for rain. Zahu said. Gyarados roared to the sky, and took Alakazam's Illusion Light head on with its huge head. With its amazing endurance and physical strength, it did not seem to be hurt. At the same time, a large cloud of mist rose in the sky, and a large amount of rain fell. Then use Storm Wind. Zahu said. Gyarados roared, and a strong wind immediately blew in the venue. A tornado rose from the ground, and Alakazam was caught in the wind, and floated into the sky, unable to move. Alakazam, use telekinesis to break through. Lilla shouted anxiously. Alakazam struggled hard, trying to break through with his mental power, but he couldn't even control his body freely in the strong wind, let alone take the initiative to attack. Gyarados, Evil Wave. Zahu said. Gyarados opened his mouth wide and spit out a black ball, hitting Alakazam, who was controlled by the storm. Alakazam screamed and fell heavily to the ground, losing his combat power. Zahu showed a proud smile. The reason why he let Gyarados out was because the Evil Wave restrained superpowers, and because Gyarados was too huge, it could not be controlled by telekinesis. Anyway, even Mewtwo could only use telekinesis waves to beat Gyarados, but couldn't lift it up, so there was basically no such Pokémon in Kanto. Come back, Alakazam. Lilla took back Alakazam, and looked at Gyarados. A serious look appeared in her eyes. It was stronger than she had imagined. Since she couldn't control it with telekinesis, she would try to fight it with force. Next, it's you, Metagross. A Pokeball was thrown out, and a full-egged steel monster stood in the field. Facing the powerful Gyarados, it was not afraid at all. Metagross? A quasi-god of Hone. Both offense and defense are amazing, and the brain is smart, faster than a computer calculation. In this case, Gyarados, you come back. Snorlax, you go out and play. Zahu took back Gyarados, and threw out Snorlax. You Snorlax? Lilla's face showed a trace of surprise. She didn't understand Zahu's intention. However, facing the normal-sized Snorlax, she was greatly relieved. Snorlax, use Flame Fist. Zahu gave the order confidently. Snorlax's right fist immediately emitted a large red light, burning with flames, and suddenly smashed out, as if a prehistoric giant beast was attacking. Although Metagross is a quasi-god, attribute restraint is still effective, and Metagross's dual attributes of steel and superpowers determine that it will be restrained by the fire attribute. Metagross uses Iron Wall to resist head-on. Lilla's eyes lit up slightly. The Gyarados just now was extraordinary, and this Snorlax reminder was similar to the usual one, just a little taller, just right to test the power of Snorlax's special move. A bright light appeared on Metagross's body, and it took Snorlax's fire punch head-on, and was knocked back 3 or 4 meters before stopping. What an amazing attack power. It seems that your Snorlax is also very strong. Lilla said solemnly, not just relying on the occasional powerful Pokémon, but this kind of opponent is rare. Lilla's blood was boiling, and her mind was one with Metagross. Metagross floated without warning, flew up directly, and quickly approached Snorlax, and then suddenly approached Snorlax. Her thick iron leg flashed white light and hit the unprepared Snorlax head-on. Snorlax was under the force, and stepped back several steps in pain before barely stopping. What's going on? Didn't Lilla give any orders just now? Why did Metagross suddenly attack? Shinji, who was watching, was puzzled. That's because Lila communicates with Pokémon with her heart, so she can give orders directly in her heart. Yashida explained that he would naturally be where the challenger was, and because of Lacey, he would also answer some of Shinji's questions. Give orders with your heart, not with your mouth. Shinji was amazed, worthy of being the pioneer leader, but the brother who defeated this leader is even more powerful. I almost forgot that Miss Lila can communicate with Pokémon, and can also communicate directly with their hearts. But in terms of the bond and friendship with Pokémon, I'm not bad either. Snorlax, let him know what the power of a footy is, Zahu said with a smile. Snorlax shouted in dissatisfaction, as if he was dissatisfied with the word footy, and then took a deep breath, his cheeks puffed up. As the one who eats the most in the Pokémon team, he knows that his food is a big burden for the team, so in order to prove that his food is valuable, he must have a strong winning rate. Snorlax ran quickly, and a blazing flame appeared on his right fist again. Lila muttered in her heart, and continued to use the arm punch. Snorlax's flame punch collided with Metagross's arm punch. Metagross floated in the air without a foothold, and was knocked away again, but Snorlax insisted on staying, because of his extraordinary weight, standing in place without retreating. Lila's face changed slightly, and she said in her heart again, inserting her 4 feet into the ground to maintain balance, and then use the destruction death ray. The Metagross left and changed its form, with its 4 legs firmly planted in the ground, and then burst out an amazing beam of light. Snorlax, get out of the way. Zahu suddenly smiled and said, get out of the way. Lila was stunned and spoke directly. Although it was not impossible to get out of the way of the destruction beam, it would be too difficult for Snorlax to get out of the way with such a huge body. Moreover, the destruction beam emitted by her Metagross had a terrifyingly high hit rate. However, what happened in the next moment was completely shocking. The tall and fat Snorlax did not move at first, until the moment when the destruction beam was about to hit. It suddenly burst out with amazing agility, bounced suddenly, jumped to the side, and then the destruction beam could only slide past its big belly. What? Lila was shocked. How can Snorlax have such a fast speed? It's not fast, it's flexible. Miss Lila, haven't you heard a saying? Flexible dead fat man. Right Snorlax, return a destruction beam to show your friendship, Zahu said proudly. His fighting style has always been to attack instead of defend, so the speed of long distance running can be slow, but the close range agility must be high. Not good. Lila's expression changed. After using the destruction beam, she will be unable to move for a period of time and unable to issue any commands. She can only watch Metagross being hit by Snorlax's destruction beam, and then lose its combat ability. 2 in a row. Lila's expression became more serious, but her eyes became more excited. She really felt her opponent, and had to defend the dignity of the Battle Lord. She threw out the Pokeball and said, the last one, Sol, come on. Solen, EV Psychic Attribute Evolution, in this case, Fairy, come and fight with your companions. Zahu said. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.